It's time to put the remote control down. The talking heads are done. It's time for unfiltered takes over a nightcap. You're invited inside to discuss the weekend's biggest disasters, the surprising heroes, and everything that got missed over the course of the weekend. This is where the best late-night sports talk happens. Welcome inside the ETB Lounge. And now, here's your bartender of banter for the evening, Callan McClurg. All I gotta ask is, Canada, who's your daddy now? 46 years of waiting, 2 overtime thrillers, and a mountain of Italian gold. Tonight, we celebrate the red, white, and blue sweep in Milan, while back home, a MLB owner just admitted the quiet part out loud. Welcome inside the lounge, everybody. My name is Callan McClurg, and we witnessed a weekend that should be a national American holiday. For 46 years, the U.S. men's national hockey team has been chasing a shadow, and today that shadow is finally gone. Jack Hughes did not just score an overtime winner against Canada, but ended a 46-year drought, gentlemen, that was old enough to have both a mortgage and a midlife crisis. He also did so while losing half of his teeth. That right there is American hockey, folks, to a T. Blood on the jersey, stitches in the locker room, and gold around the neck. But let's be real, though. We don't win the game without goaltender Connor Hellebuyck, who makes 40 saves and wasn't simply a goalie, but a brick wall. Canada threw the entire kitchen sink at him, and he made sure that the plumbing was just fine and sent it right back to them. However, as the men were finally making history on Sunday, how about the backbone of USA Hockey, the women's national team? They also went into an overtime battle and won 2-1 against Canada. That felt more like a gladiator match than a hockey game. Down late, who else but Hilary Knight scoring the game-tying goal to breathe life into the building, securing her 5th Olympic medal and what we all believe is the final curtain call for her illustrious career with the national team. If this is it, though, for Hilary Knight, she does leave as a undisputed goat of the ice. And then, of course, Megan Keller, the hero we all needed, drills the OT winner to sink the North just a few days ago. And I'm sure Tom will agree with me that Free Bird by Leonard Skinner is probably on repeat one for every hockey fan nationwide, including yours truly. I'm probably blasting it so loud and so often that I'm pretty sure we personally have shattered Apple Music and Spotify, and maybe the ghost of Napster and LimeWire have to be crawled out of the grave to help the streaming traffic as time has gone on.
Jeez, Napster.
However, though, Mr. Morgeson, while we celebrate glory in Italy, we also look at a gentleman named Arturo Artie Moreno. The LA Angels owner actually said out loud that winning is not a top five priority for sports fans. He thinks we want affordability and safety. Artie, I hate to break it to you, sir. If I wanted a safe, affordable experience where nobody wins, I'd go win at my local DMV, and I don't even have a license, my friend. To say that a fan base cares more about that as that you've not been to the playoffs since 2014 is an absolute insult to the game of baseball. And maybe finally a massive win for the business of the game, but who's really counting, right? The WNBA generated enough revenue finally last year to trigger revenue sharing with its players, roughly $8 million going back to the women who built this momentum, but we cannot get comfortable. The union has a March 10th ultimatum on the table that could change the landscape of this league forever. At the bar of the night, our ETB man in charge, Nick Morgeson, Mr. Schoolmaster himself, Tom Albano, and of course, Boston's bad boy himself, Ben Cruz. We hope to have our analytical whiz, Dino Taibbi, in hour 2. Gentlemen, as always, the scoreboards are off on this Monday night. The stadiums are empty, but of course, in here, the conversation is just getting underway as the lights stay on this Monday evening, February 23rd. Mr. Morgeson, Mr. Albano, and Mr. Cruz, great to see you all. Nick, how's it going tonight on this Monday? Good to see you, other than the fact that you've been stuck right now with snow.
Oh, I'm aching in pain. I just came in from shoveling. I think we have 2 feet of snow on the ground where we are right now. Let's just say I picked up enough boulders. I felt like that scene from Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner where he's trying to throw things at him to make him stop, but instead I'm picking up giant boulders of snow instead and just being like, oh, the shovel wasn't doing it for me, so I literally had to pick them up by hand. Using my own bare hands.
I actually even got a picture from Mr. Morgeson at about 8:30 Eastern of the snow boulders he has picked up off of his front lawn today.
Yeah, it was just, this was me after the whole situation.
I am having a very bad day. Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
That's me.
Mr. Albano, we thank you for joining us, even though that the school district got closed today. But I know that you and I both, and of course Ben was also glued to our TVs. I was on my way to Disneyland yesterday morning for a day at the park, and literally texted a few friends saying that me and my friend Matt scared the entire tram when Jack Hughes won the game for Team USA yesterday morning. We're great to see you, sir. How are we doing today?
I don't blame you. I'm doing all right, by the way. I don't blame you. I didn't realize what had happened at first. I didn't realize that the puck had actually crossed the goal line and into the net. The second though that I saw Team USA all start to throw their equipment and move over to the left side of the screen away from the goal, immediately it clicked and I just started jumping up and down. And it's like, yeah, maybe a little excessive for 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. But you know what? Screw it. What other opportunity was that ever going to happen? 46 years this country has been waiting, and we get not one, but 2 gold medals over Canada, 2 overtime periods, 2 golden goals.
Ironically, on the day of the Miracle on Ice.
And we'll have plenty about hockey throughout the course of our show. Ben Cruz also celebrating a Celtics win over the arch rival Lakers at crypto.com yesterday. Ben, great to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining the show. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good. Just like Nick, though, I'm obviously dealing with this blizzard over here in Connecticut. It's just hasn't feel like it's been never ending. But what's never ending that I do love is the Canadian tears that I'm seething from the post USA victory. And that makes it a extra gold medal in my mind as of right now, because I watched this game by myself and the raw emotions back and forth. I told Nick this yesterday, and you guys might be thinking I'm crazy, but I was more worried about this game than I was with the Super Bowl of my own football team. That's pretty much how much I wanted this over Canada.
Just don't tell Sean Marash at WFAN that apparently he's not allowed to root for Devils players because he's a Ranger fan.
You got to
see. It's funny because honestly, I don't know how much I can really hate Jack Hughes after watching all that.
This was the argument I made last night, where we have the World Baseball Classic coming up very shortly,
right?
Yep.
And if a Red Sox player were to get a hit, mostly for Tom and I here, are we going to be upset if we win a World Baseball Classic game if a Red Sox player gets hit?
When we won in 2017, I was so freaking happy.
One of the biggest underrated things, for Tom's sake, is if you actually watch the game, Charlie McAvoy saved a goal. There was a part of the game in which the puck went behind Connor Hellebuyck, who, of course, was the stud of the game. And I feel like that kind of play kind of goes unnoticed because there were so many other different types of situation plays. And McAvoy obviously had a bad penalty on a 5-on-3 that Ken, of course, did not get. Jack Hughes obviously had a tough penalty that he had at the end of the third period. But you know what? Both of those guys were able to respond in 2 different types of ways, in which I think made this overall just finish in this game just so much more memorable. And, obviously, U.S. hockey, the Kachucks, obviously, as a Bruins fan myself, I've obviously had my deals, of course, with them. But, of course, my hatred now against them, I will love them now for life because they, of course, brought my country a gold medal against my hated country over in Canada, who will now be our 51st state. And I will proclaim to have that.
But, by the way, can I give you a stat for the Olympics, which this is incredible, but about 2 hours ago, Front Office Sports put out a stat. The NBC Olympics just delivered its most watched winter game since 2014.
In Sochi.
The network said it averaged 23.5 million viewers for its coverage throughout 2026 for the winter games from Italy, up 96% from the 2022 event in Beijing.
And 22, that was coming out of the pandemic. There were still some restrictions in place with COVID. With COVID, I think there was still some fan things too that they were allowed and not allowed to do as well.
The quarantine rules.
Rules. And here, though, in 2026, though, I mean, I think Italy was a great host for the event. Yes, there was some controversy, as there always is, though, when it comes to, the political football being passed around. Also, the most successful Winter Olympics on record for gold medal wins by Team USA with 12 of them, and over 63% won by female athletes, of course, including Team USA hockey. We, of course, had figure skating. Lindsey Vonn will have more about her and an update on her condition a bit later in the show. As well, Christy Wilson, also wanted to point out Alyssa Liu. We'll have more about her, though, momentarily as well. Tom's already been kicked out because of his tech problem, so we'll hopefully get him back here.
I didn't watch all of the Olympics because, again, I'm more of a Summer Olympics guy than a Winter Olympics guy. Like, especially because we know more of the named athletes in the summer than we do in the winter. But some of the sports just made me scratch my head. Like which is the one that's on the stomach? I always get that one confused.
Skeleton.
But now they had like a double skeleton.
They had double skeleton. They had double luge. They had relay races for both those events too.
Wouldn't that be uncomfortable to have to lay on top of somebody and then have to slide down?
No.
Like I can't even picture that. And then just some of the awkward stories, which Brendan and I talked about last night from the Olympics, including the hydraulic acid situation with the skiers. I forgot who said it last night. But one of the it might have been Yosef. Actually,
I think it was Yosef. Yeah.
Who said just take a blue chew? You'd get the same situation.
Yeah, there's something about like the acid part of
the hydraulic acid being syringed into a certain part of the body we don't like talking about.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a great headline. Of course, no one can say whether it was true or false or not. And then, of course, you have which country was it? The guy who cheated on his
Norway.
The Norway athlete who, after he won a bronze medal, thought it was brilliant to admit on a live mic that he cheated on his girlfriend.
He wanted to commit social suicide in order to bring up how much he actually loved her and appreciated her and was sorry for what he did.
Yeah. Does bad timing ring a bell there?
A dumbass.
Yeah. I mean, what do I know? And Tom's going to love this too. I happened to just see this break a couple hours ago. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao boxing.
Really? Did we really? What? First of all, when that fight happened the first time, it was 10. I shouldn't say 10. It was like 5 years way too late. Second of all,
so we're known for making fights way too late. That's the pattern as a late.
Welcome to combat sports. Second of all, I'm sorry. What? Go from fighting Mike Tyson in an exhibition bout in the Congo, and then you're going to go and fight Manny Pacquiao, who has still been active, by the way.
Yes.
Actually was retired at one point, returned to competition, actually went to a draw with Mario Barrios, who just lost his WBC title.
To Ryan Garcia.
A couple of days ago, right?
I can't stand him.
And now you're going to try for 51-0 or 52-0, whatever it is, against Manny Pacquiao.
I don't know.
Dumb.
Like
I guess this is just going to Netflix's strategy of, going after the big names.
It's a retirement home.
You know what? Yeah. I think I've finally had a bone to pick with the UFC and also MMA in general. Just this fight in general with Rousey and Serrano, which I guess I'm the only one on the boat.
Gina Carano.
I mean Carano. Sorry. But I think I'm the only one so far who thinks Carano is going to win the fight.
Yes, you are.
No, because I think Ronda's is gonna fall under the pressure like she did her last two fights.
Carano hasn't fought in 17, 18 years.
Okay, and Ronda's 10. I mean, they both haven't fought in eternities. Like, I just think of that SpongeBob scene, One Eternity Later.
One eternity later.
Yeah.
And the skeletons are sweeping the floor of the Krusty Krab.
Yeah, I just don't see that. I don't think that. I think that, what was it, 5-minute rounds?
Yes.
They were saying. I don't think that even goes 5 rounds. I don't think they're physically going to be able to go 5 rounds.
First round knockout for somebody.
No.
Rousey's gonna catch her in an armbar or something and submit her.
It'll end in the first round, and everyone's going to go home heartbroken.
I'm going to laugh again when she gains all the notoriety and all the pressure's going to be on her. Are you done?
Maybe.
I think she's going to be under all the pressure, and everyone's going to say, Ronda, 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 and then she's going to get knocked out first round or second round.
It'll be over in 30 seconds, and then Netflix will be like, well, we paid all this money for this, and the fight's over in 30 seconds. What a waste.
What the hell are they going to put on this undercard, though?
Well, you know what? If they're looking to not be a one and done, and they're actually looking to, and MVP Promotions, Jake Paul and all of them, are actually looking to be true MMA alternative product to the UFC, they better sign some youth to that card. And they better sign a couple of veteran names to that card.
And that goes to Tom's point when him and Zan joined Press Row on Wednesday, because I even said the same thing before we get to the actual topics here. That was the thing that we all said, though, last Wednesday, was that if you're going to be advertising the shit out of this card with these two legendary
Well, they already are.
Well, my point, though, to that was you better start selling your future to your fan base when this thing rolls around on May 16th.
You know what name I did hear?
Part of my concern is that it doesn't seem like they do that because, lo and behold, look what Netflix is doing, promoting Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao.
You know the name I did hear, and Zan and I talked about it on our taped episode coming up this week. Tyron Woodley.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That was a name we had discussed.
Which, by the way, the press conference that was scheduled next Wednesday or whenever it was, actually got pushed back to next Friday because of weather concerns here in New York. Just in our area in general, because now they're talking about there might be snow on Wednesday. There might be
Thursday.
Snow on Thursday and Friday, maybe next Tuesday.
What? Oh, and they're talking about like actual snow, not just passing snow, like another.
Well, the ones for the rest of this week, maybe a couple of inches. Next Tuesday, there's already rumors of another nor'easter.
No, don't say that.
Make it stop.
This storm was not even supposed to hit us. It was supposed to be like 3 to 5 inches.
I'm turning 30 a week from today. The last thing I need is to have a nor'easter.
You're just going to be stuck inside your house for your birthday. Happy birthday.
Emotional damage.
What'd you
Is
get
this
for
going to be the weather? Is this going to be the winter weather version of COVID?
Yes. Happy birthday. What did you get for your birthday? Oh, a nor'easter. Oh.
That I did not ask for.
I did not ask for this weather. Bring me summer.
By the way, especially because it's not my personality, I will make one political statement and that's it. Screw you, I'm Donnie.
I am going to see Callan's Padres take on my Red Sox on opening day for the home opener, so I'm very excited about that.
Wow.
So hopefully
by the rain of the snow away, Mother Nature. We want baseball on the East Coast in April.
Please.
It could be worse. It could be Yankees Giants on opening day on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that in mind, though, guys, as a reminder, though, folks, for those watching us again, follow us on social media. We're at the ETB Lounge and, of course, at ETB Network on socials. That includes IG, TikTok, and Twitter. And, of course, subscribe to us over at youtube.com/ETB Network as we continue our chase towards 4,000 watch hours as we ever get closer to that milestone here on ETB. All right, gentlemen, into our round of takes after the opening salvo this evening. Of course, guys, our biggest win on tap goes to where else? Team USA men's hockey over Canada 2-1 in overtime. Jack Hughes ends the 46-year drought. Connor Hellebuyck was the MVP with 40 saves. Canada without Sidney Crosby, leaning heavily on the rest of their gang because of the Crosby injury. Supper versus Czechia, leaning heavily on McDavid, Macklin Celebrini, and, of course, Nathan McKinnon in this. Tom, I'll start with you with this one. Does Jack Hughes now own the single greatest moment in American hockey history, or is Connor Hellebuyck the only reason that all four of us on the show tonight aren't crying into our Budweisers and Bud Lights on this Monday night?
I think both things can be true. I don't think this is a case of mutual exclusivity. I think it's true that Connor Hellebuyck was the reason for the victory, because if he does not perform in the way that he does in goal, if he doesn't have one of those gritty old school goalie nights where he's trying to stop literally everything in sight and almost did, with the exception of that one goal, then we're talking about another year where Canada bests the US in the Olympics and Canada gets another gold medal. Having said that, all credit aside to the 1980 team, because obviously it was a different time period. You didn't have the professionals. That was the college kids that were playing. It was the true underdog story. Plus it was also a round robin format. So just because they had best of the Soviet Union did not mean that they were going to win the gold medal. There's a story that they could have still walked away medalist even after that win in the Soviet Union. So in terms of the road to get there, it's still the 1980 Lake Placid team all the way. Having said that, I think in terms of the shot, I think Jack Hughes' goal is going to be more famous than any of the other goals that were scored in 1980, because one, the moment of 1980 is more the fact that they were able to defensively hold off the Soviet Union at the end of the game
for a whole 10 minutes. Because and by the way, folks, you can actually check out that Benchmarks episode 2 about the Miracle on Ice. There's a quote in there I threw in from Jack O'Callahan, who told HBO Sports about 10 years, 20 years after the victory. He said, I looked at the clock and it said 10 minutes. And I'm saying to myself, that's a lot of time against these guys.
Absolutely. At the moment was the defensiveness. And then at the end, Michael's going, do you believe in miracles? Yes. But for Jack Hughes, it was a golden goal, overtime, game winner. You don't set yourself up for anything like imagine that had been the Stanley Cup. Imagine that had been a Stanley Cup game winner. Like, that moment would be replayed on NHL broadcast forever and ever and ever.
Tom, I was going to say a certain game-winning goal, but I don't want to offend the Ranger fan base out there from 2014. But
by the way, I just came across something really odd, and Yahoo Sports just posted this about 40 minutes ago. In the movie Miracle, which I think you referenced in the Benchmarks episode, right?
Yes.
So in the movie Miracle about the USA's 1980 Miracle on Ice team, one of the players cut was named Jack Hughes.
Yeah. Yep.
And
moment.
And Yahoo wrote the script writers went crazy with this one.
Well, the even more crazy thing is I wonder what his number was.
If he was wearing 86, that would have been something. But they do show though these Craig Patrick ripping the tape of Hughes's name off the locker though during one of the scenes where they're going through the roster cuts in the movie.
It's 21 in the movie.
That's crazy. Yeah, that is pretty poetic. But Ben, I think though you referenced though in the opening salvo very much that there were a couple of turning points in this game. Again, I watched this whole game as everyone else did, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning Pacific time to watch the game on NBC. But there's a couple turning points though. As you kind of said though in a way, Canada gets a 5-on-3, doesn't score. They get 2 shots on goal for 4 minutes of penalty time, or just about 4 minutes of penalty time. Then there is the save made by Hellebuyck. It's become, front page news of him denying Devon Taves in the crease, paddle of the goal stick on the puck, knocks it away. That kept the game tied. And obviously, of course, the celebration ensues, though. But I think, though, Ben, there are, though, just those few moments. And I think that, everyone here who's watched playoff sports knows that every game, every series gets defined by one moment, or in March Madness's case, one shining moment. Ben, what probably would you say is that one big moment? Is it the Hellebuyck save, though, that everyone has seen now of him denying Taves on his doorstep, or killing off the 5-on-3 power play where that game could have gone south in a hurry?
I mean, you can make an argument, obviously, for both. But for me, I think it was the Hellebuyck save on Devon Taves, because it was pretty much the biggest chaotic part of the game. The 5-on-3, the Canadians were down 1-0, and they really took control. They pretty much flipped the ice in the second period, that basically it was going to be inevitable that they were going to score at least at some point. And obviously it was almost going to be pretty much a miracle if the U.S. are going to be able to kind of get out of that period, only giving up 1 goal, given what the power play unit that Canada has. Obviously, it's video game number type of power play units that you're going to see, and arguably could go down as one of the greatest power play units potentially in Olympic history when it's all said and done because of that type of talent. I mean, Macklin Celebrini is 19 years old. That guy's an absolute superstar in the making. You have Connor McDavid, who is obviously the greatest, arguably one of the greatest goal scorers, of course, coming in. You have Callan McClurg, who's, of course, arguably one of the best defensemen in the league. And, that's obviously not saying pretty much everybody else. I mean, Nathan McKinnon, gross, right? So the U.S. basically, did they have obviously the better talented roster? No. But what did they have? They had the two most important things being able to have a chance to win this game: goaltending and defense. And that specifically was a big factor. Of course, the Jack Hughes play in overtime, and I'll talk about this as well, that the Jack Hughes defending Connor McDavid on basically when he pretty much had that rush twice, but on the second time. And then when Zach Rowinski passed the puck to Jack Hughes, it wasn't the best pass. This was, of course, the pass defensive end. And Jack Hughes essentially got one stick over to get the U.S. a chance to get in the offensive zone. If Jack Hughes does not get that puck over, that's basically a 2-on-0. That's pretty much a turnover, and we could be sitting here having another heartbreaking ending. Who knows if Connor McDavid, of course, replays, the Four Nations, of course. But I just think, Connor Hellebuyck was just unstoppable. And I think in the 5-on-3, my confidence level in our goaltending was on that part, was the 5-on-3. Because there were a couple chances that Canadians had that it was like a shooting gallery. It was just like boom, boom, boom. And Hellebuyck, just with his size, with his stick, with everything, he was up to the challenge. And a lot of people were talking about the Four Nations. Was Hellebuyck ready for this moment? Of course, in the Four Nations, he was good. But, of course, in terms of his overall career, he hasn't really had that big, generic moment yet. And this, of course, was with millions of people watching on the biggest stage against your rival country. And to get this job done, without him, this game was going to be beyond a blowout. I really do. And I like me some Jeremy Swayman, but he was not going to get the job done in this game with the way that Canada was basically playing. So we had the goaltending, thankfully. We had the defense. And Jack Hughes, a lot of his career in this game in terms was his defensive lack. And he came up big. The Four Nations, he really wasn't that great. But in this part, he was. And there was a couple other guys that were really good in the Four Nations. A guy like Jake Gensel, a little more disappointing. Maybe a guy like, Matthew Tkachuk, at least offensively, a little disappointing. But it was a whole unit. It was a whole bond. And another reason, too, and Callan, you probably saw the mic. Obviously, I put a lot of U.S. stuff in my story, was Brady Tkachuk on the bench saying, guys, believe, like we are going to win this game. And it meant so much to this team. And so it pretty much was just the defense and the goaltending. I think it was more Hellebuyck, though. I mean, he basically stood on his head. And, to me, he was MVP in my eyes.
Nick Morganson, obviously, Canada has always had Team USA's number. We look back at 2010, how Team USA lost that game in overtime with the Crosby game winner in Vancouver. Ryan Miller stood on his head that whole afternoon. They get the game-tying goal in the dying minute of regulation just to get the silver medal. They lose in 2002 on home soil at Salt Lake City to Canada. And, it's been building to, it's been like a building crescendo about the big game curse. Like, you could always get there, you never win it, and that was kind of in a way a bit of, more. Yeah. Along with the Four Nations too, which also came to mind. But I think, though, Nick Morganson, you probably watching this game, you probably watching highlights, for the lounge on Sunday or even for today. As you're watching this game, though, Nick, what's going through your mind, though, casual hockey fan watching this game in New York, though, early in the morning, and then obviously watching Team USA finally win a gold for the first time in 46 years at the Olympics?
I mean, what's incredible is, number one, we've never had the men's and the women's both be U.S. versus Canada. That's never happened before in gold medal games. So that was a rarefied air.
And not only it was both teams, but it was in the way that it happened. It was
Yes.
overtime.
Both teams go to
Same
OT, and
period.
both teams have the same score of 2-1.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was breaking their hearts, which was
first
the
of
most
all,
on top part.
the women absolutely beat the crap out of the competition until the gold medal game.
34-2. By the way, 34-2. They outscored their opponents in the 6 games or 7 games they played.
They were averaging 5 goals a game, I think, at one point during that run. Now, did they have a little help in the first round? Unfortunately, due to the norovirus situation, they did. But that's not taking anything away from them. They dominated the whole entire tournament there for the Olympics. The men, they needed to fight a lot harder. The competition was stiffer on the men's side. So they really had to fight. The Jack Hughes goal felt cinematic a little bit.
Good way to put
watching it. And it just felt like one of those moments where, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier, like where Sean Marash from WFAN was trying to turn it into a Rangers versus Devils debate. Like, screw the fan debate. When you're at the Olympics, I give 2 shits about fan debating. Like, when you're on Team USA, you play for your country. You don't play for a team. Like, I don't understand.
It's understandable to have mixed feelings because, like, I think of the quarterfinal round where scoring, I think it was for Finland, Mika Zibanejad.
For Sweden. And then Quinn Hughes wins the game in OT.
Right. You know, it's funny. It's like I'm annoyed and I'm thinking to myself, oh, man, the U.S. could get eliminated. But at the same time, you know, I can have a little solace in the fact that it was a Ranger that scored, but I still would have been upset.
With Brad Marchand. But Brad Marchand, of course, has to be a Canadian out of all things. So
right. But my point is, like, that whole thing, get off the soapbox. No one cares about fan bases during the Olympics. No one cares about fan bases during the World Baseball Classic that's coming up. No one cares. You're out there to play for your country. Tom, you and I had this discussion years ago about how people are it's more important for the Major League Baseball players to play for their flag than it is to play for their team.
Well, I think it's also just the fact that, you know, the World Baseball Classic is the World Baseball Classic. We can have a debate about that, but the Olympics are the Olympics. It happens every 4 years, and it's the only chance where you get to have I shouldn't say the only because there are other tournaments and stuff, but it is the world stage. It is the world stage.
It's the Olympic medal. It's the only time you can get it every 2 years. Well, every 4 years if you only compete in one side of it. But I think people over-exaggerate that. Like the example I was using before.
And Nick, you'll appreciate this one. The Olympics presents more of a all-star competition than the actual all-star games of the 4 major sports leagues.
I agree, but I think they do it better because that is a competition that everyone cares about.
Correct.
Around the world. These dinky all-star games, you throw a bunch of all-stars on a court and just say, woohoo, score the ball.
I think it's also...
And sorry, you guys can go. I'll go after.
Okay, I think it's also just... Sorry, Ben, I'll be quick, but I think it's also just something compared to, like, our culture, because our culture, we care about our leagues and we want to see our franchises win the championships, but you know, you think of some of these other leagues around the world, you know, maybe not so much in Europe, but in some of those leagues, like their leagues don't compare to the Olympics. There is that global recognition that, you know, the Olympics are worth something. The Olympic medal is worth more than the championship of whatever league in Australia or somewhere in Asia or in South America.
There were times I would take an Olympic medal over an NBA championship too. Like, you know what? And people are going to laugh at this when I say it, but I actually rooted for LeBron in the Olympics. Like, believe it or not, because you put your hatred aside for players to root for
the Olympics are about national pride.
Exactly.
So the biggest thing, and I had 2 things, of course, kind of counterpart. So in terms of the Morass stuff, that when you're obviously you're a fan of in terms of a certain team, there's so much attachment to people actually just going for the actual player than the team itself. And to me, I get it. Of course, you could be, of course, Nick and Tom are Yankee fans. Of course, Aaron Judge is the guy, right? That's fine. You're, of course, going to be attached to a player like that that brings you success. But like for me, of course, one of my favorite players was David Ortiz or Rafael Devers or Mookie Betts.
Right. Yep.
You know, but the thing is, yeah, of course, does it suck if a guy leaves or that? Like, yeah, of course, you're attached to them, but what's your fan part? It's the team. I'm a Red Sox fan. This is essentially what I wear on my shirt.
Well, it's funny you say that, Ben, because I think of when the All-Star game actually meant something. Maybe because we were younger, or because MLB had that silly stipulation about the winning side getting
advantage.
home field advantage in the World Series,
Which was so stupid.
Yeah, but my point is, in the All-Star game, we're going to root for the league that our team is a part of, and even though the Yankees and Red Sox are rivals, they are two key teams of the American League. So that one night, yeah, I'm going to be rooting for insert Red Sox player here because he represents the league that my team represents as a part of, and I want to see win.
Yeah.
True. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's great and to see Team USA win on the hockey side and really win the medals, but the whole WFAN persona that's going around that they're saying, oh, you can't root for Devils players or Rangers or whatever it is the most ridiculous thing in the entire world. Put your fan card aside. It's the Olympics. No one cares about any teams, professional teams in the Olympics. And same thing when they go to the Summer Olympics, when we watch the USA men's and the USA women's team compete, if they allow them to compete, if they somehow get a CBA in time. Anyway, but just let it go. Just stop. And I think the funny part that we're not talking about either is to see Cash Patel just downing beers in their locker room too, which I thought was the most hilarious thing ever. And they were like, "Oh, he shouldn't be doing that. He's the head of the FBI." All right, enough. Just stop. He was having a fun moment in the locker room with the players. Should he be drinking in the locker room? No. Mm-hmm. We all know that. But at the same time, it was kind of a fun moment to see our government getting involved in the celebration. And
well, like Callan said, 46 years.
It's been a long time,
let alone on the day of the Miracle on Ice happening, which again was not the gold medal game as I laid out though in the benchmarks episode on. But it
is
Sunday.
One of the most, if not the most important U.S. Olympic American game,
and probably the greatest sporting upset of all time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think another thing too is I really think Gary Bettman deserves a lot of credit for leading this type of gold medal moment happen with the Four Nations tournament, because the Four Nations tournament, of course, the All-Star game, we talked about the All-Star game just recently, and I was thinking about it, that a lot of people, just the NBA or the MLB, it doesn't have the same type of entertainment feel. People think it's just kind of like an exhibition phase of things. But hockey fans, for us hockey fans, the Four Nations tournament meant a lot. And
I'm going to say it right now.
I'm gonna say yes, it was only 4 teams, but it had kind of a precursor of what the Olympics was going to be the following year. And I mean, for me, there's a lot of guys in the USA team that I root for because I'm a part of the country that, of course, I can take my differences away from myself being a Bruins fan. One is Austin Matthews. He is a Toronto Maple Leaf. As a Bruins fan, I do not like the Toronto Maple Leafs. However, he is a USA guy, so I respect him. Another guy, Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk's a Florida Panther. The Florida Panthers have beaten us countless times in the Stanley Cup playoffs previously. So, I just kind of take my bias away, and I'm very happy for this group because they lost in a heartbreaking way, but I think it also motivated them to come back the following year to do it on the bigger stage. And I wanted this matchup. We got this matchup, and both sides, the men's and the women's, and they both got the job done in the most memorable way possible. And I think that's what makes it the best for this overall country.
we'll talk about the women's final in just a bit, and the women winning gold again in their own spectacular fashion in a few minutes' time here. Here on ETB Lounge. Dino Taibbi now joins us. Dino, maybe any thoughts to pass along regarding men's hockey for Team USA finally ending that 46-year drought and ironically enough winning gold on the anniversary of the Miracle on Ice from 1980?
Yeah, definitely a huge victory for USA hockey. They, Canada's definitely had our number recently. And there's no doubt that, like, looking at the two teams on paper, I would say Canada definitely had the players that, you recognize more on a name basis, like Connor McDavid. And the fact that the USA was able to win this game is definitely huge for them. And hopefully it just, gets the team back to where, back on top to where they really would want to be.
Yeah, like I said, me and my friend yelled when Jack Hughes scored that goal. We were on the tram going into Disneyland, and we scared a whole two rows of people. And we're like, "We're sorry, we just won gold in men's hockey." We go into one of the theme parks, and like everybody's jumping for joy, high-fiving each other. So obviously, the outpouring of the victory, of course, is one thing going on. And Ben also writes that they're apparently at a big club right now in mind. Ben, I probably wonder if that's the same nightclub that Matt Tkachuk's gone to the last 2 times with the Stanley Cup.
It's at the
Flamingo?
E11 Even nightclub.
Oh, I was going to say the Flamingo is the one that all the Florida teams usually go to, and they stand on the balcony with the cup, and then they dump alcohol out of it down onto the.
That doesn't surprise me at all. They're down there.
And they all rode a double-decker bus in Miami. I mean, you can't get much better than that. It's kind of like you saw what of being a champion.
You saw what happened at and Tom, you probably saw this too. That Kathy Hochul lifted the alcohol rule for the morning that they could drink at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good. So they get to break the rules to drink, but no one else does.
Well,
Canada,
nice. There were bars in Canada that did too.
Oh, did they?
I mean, the Maple Leafs had a watch party at Scotiabank Arena, and they had the game on the Jumbotron, and they lowered it down to ice level. And as soon as the goal was scored, the whole building was dead silent, and they all walked out.
Yeah, there's a lot of footage I saw on social media from that. It was amazing.
Good God.
All right, guys, we'll move on now to our Flat Beer Award for the weekend. Artie Moreno's priority comments have made it onto the Flat Beer Award. The LA Angels owner had told reporters over the weekend that winning, he says, is not a priority in recent done fan surveys. What? Ranking affordability and safety higher than winning. This comes after a decade of missing the playoffs with both Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Nick Morganson, should the league force a sale when a owner explicably admits that the product on the field is a secondary concern from the owner's box?
I mean, I got to be careful when I say this. He didn't technically do anything illegal. Is the technicality term I'm going to use? Because you can own a team and do whatever you want. Is it morally bad for Major League Baseball? Yes, it's very morally bad for baseball. You don't want an owner that is basically telling you, screw you fans. I don't care how this team is. I don't care. I didn't try to hold on to Shohei Ohtani. I didn't try to hold on to anything that for the team to make it better. Our team stinks. We're not even airing our spring training games on radio.
Oh, they are on radio.
They're not on
TV. They're not on TV,
Sorry.
Yeah.
They're not on TV and only on radio. And that organization is a dumpster fire. If I ever saw one. And Artie Moreno should just sell the team. I'm not saying take it away from him. He should just sell the team and move on because he just doesn't care about baseball anymore. I don't know what he cares about.
I mean, I don't know either, and it's very perplexing, guys, for an organization who, that was the first Major League Baseball team I recall seeing in person in the late 90s at what was then Edison Field, and they've always had a soft spot in my soft spot for me because of that nostalgia of that first game I ever went to.
And stop with the Los Angeles of Anaheim nonsense.
Well, the of Anaheim part has been gone for 10 years.
Whatever.
They're just now
Fine.
the Los Angeles Angels. That came off in 2016 to stay in line with the lease of the ballpark at the
All
time.
right, but stop. That's not you're not Los Angeles. Stop. You did that because you're trying to make your market look bigger than it is. The Dodgers kicked your asses the last decade to 15 years. I mean, it's not close. The Dodgers are spending more than they are. They have the bigger players. I mean, what do the Angels have? Nothing. They're a minor league team.
Ben, what do you think about these comments? Obviously, this did, though, rattle the cage, though, in a way of the interim executive director of the MLBPA with Bruce Meyer, who, again, has been making his rounds after the very much weird timing of the Tony Clark snafu that went down last week. I think some players even made some thoughts known, though. Obviously, Sam Blum, who, again, has been beaten over the head by the organization with a steel chair, who is not shy to talk about the franchise, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, though, said his piece, though, on The Athletic. Ben, are these comments, though, from Artie Moreno concerning, though, for where the franchise is right now, but also about the game as a whole right now as we enter a new season with, again, so much uncertainty coming down the pipeline?
Yeah. I mean, as a Red Sox fan myself, I mean, our ownership, of course, has gone through some tough last couple of seasons, moving on from some franchise keystone players. And so for me, I really was just like, wow, like, this is terrible. Like, this is never going to end. But then I look at a couple other teams and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm like, it could be a lot worse, right? And
Angels, A's, the Rays, the Marlins.
Yeah. So
Pirates.
Yeah. So, like, and this is unfortunately for the Dodgers standpoint of things in terms of, like, when they sign players, like, in terms of the other type of team saying, well, let's look at them sign all these type of players. Unfortunately for, like, small market type of organizations, like, sometimes they're just not doing themselves any favors. And things like this for a guy and the Angels standpoint of view and a big market type of city, funny enough, that's actually competing with the Dodgers as the other LA team, basically saying, well, we don't really care. We have other things basically on our mind. I mean, the Red Sox and things, and of course I hate to, focus on my team and theirs, but like the Red Sox with John Henry and their ownership, they, of course, are the Pittsburgh Penguins. They had Liverpool. They had some other things that a lot of our fan bases are maybe thinking that they were looking at there instead of spending money on the actual organization that has won four World Series this century. So in a way, in a sense, I definitely kind of know like how they're feeling, except, of course, they have not had a sustained success with winning. But they have one of the best players in the league, unfortunately, that is just getting rotten there, Mike Trout. Of course, Mike Trout is, of course, a player that was once looked at as potentially the next guy in baseball. Unfortunately, with him and injuries and stuff like that. So you would think, with the ownership and stuff, that they would kind of build around that. But, it sucks because they're in a city that definitely deserves it. And Marino is basically saying we're not going to do anything to care about it. And so I think basically for fans, it's the biggest thing though. That's basically for them. They're basically gonna look at this and say, well, if you don't care, why shall we?
Tom, the Angels last made the playoffs as a division winner in 2014. That was the only time that Mike Trout's made the playoffs, and they were uprooted by the Kansas City Royals, who got on that hot streak after winning the one-and-done AL wildcard game. And Mike Trout, I don't think, had a hit in that series. I think he struck out a high majority of the time.
The Angels didn't even have a win in that series, Callan.
And they got swept in 3 games by the Royals. Again, that hot team, as we usually see a lot, though, come playoff time. But, Tom, I do, though, in a way, understand Artie's point. Because I recall back, I think, to 2010 or 2011, right after the club got sold by the Disney company in 2005, when Artie bought the franchise and obviously made the name the LA Angels of Anaheim to tap into the LA media market money. He was a billboard mogul, so they had all these billboards made in LA itself that read City of Angels with the Angels word mark on it. They obviously went to the LAA abbreviation as they have for the last, 10, 15 years. But that ESPN did a sports-wide survey. And the then LA Angels of Anaheim were the number 1 ranked team when it came to these factors of family affordability, cheap parking, cheap concessions, merchandise was, and also the team being good. Why now all of a sudden is this kind of in a way becoming Artie's easy way out, though, to say, people care more about tickets being cheap, hot dogs being cheap, beer being cheap, while we don't invest in the ballpark or invest in the team. Now, I do believe that we're at a bit of a crossroads. This is kind of like the off the board style stadium saga we're dealing with. This Angel Stadium project might be at a major crossroads because of the turnover at City Hall. I think we all know a bit, in a way, probably about Harry Sadu, who was the city mayor, was caught embezzling money from the Moreno campaign for his reelection campaign. He's now serving jail time. There was a deal to buy the ballpark for $1 to redo the parking lot, maybe build a new ballpark on the property across the freeway from Honda Center, which, again, is undergoing their own $5 billion plus renovation for the 2020 Olympic Games. But, Tom, I do get, though, that Nick and I talked about this, I think, last Wednesday, because we were breaking down NBA ticket prices. And, affordability, though, is a big word. Again, parking, concessions, merch, a family of 4, pairs of 2 going to a game, even solo going to a game. It's beyond expensive nowadays to go and do this sort of stuff. But, Tom, your thoughts, though, about Artie's commentary, though, over the weekend, and also for a franchise man who's just gone nowhere since 2014.
And that's the one thing to Artie's defense is the corporatism in professional sports. And I mentioned that on Press Row, and I think I mentioned that when I was on one of the ETB lounges last week. I don't know if it was the one with you or the one with Nick D. Corporatism in sports, I mean, there's always been it, but it's at an all-time high. It's absolutely kind of ridiculous to see, because ticket prices are so goddamn expensive these days. And you add in the parking, you add in the concessions. I think on the freaking TKO side, because I follow the TKO company with UFC and the WWE, WrestleMania 42 that's going to take place in Vegas. I looked last week. The cheapest ticket was $800. And that's before valet parking. That's before concessions and merchandise. And they just had put like a 25% off sale or whatever, and it wasn't doing anything just because it's still goddamn expensive. And we make those remarks about freaking Yankee Stadium.
The chicken tender buckets.
The chicken tender buckets.
Well, Callan doesn't know. I don't think I ever told him that joke. That's from a while ago. We used to complain about even the old Yankee Stadium. The food was overly expensive, and now in the new stadium, forget it. You have to pay an arm and a leg just to eat inside a Yankee Stadium.
Here's my firstborn child.
Yeah, really.
If there's too much expensive going on in Yankee Stadium, I always just go to McDonald's right down the street if I have that.
Yeah, no, it's seriously.
You're better off eating and then going to a damn game if you really want to go, because it's cheaper to eat outside the stadium than it is in.
It's cheaper for me to tailgate at a soccer match instead of buying food inside Snapdragon Stadium for SDFC or for the Wave.
We're doing, because of what Callan told me about the tailgating, we're going to be doing a whole benchmarks episode on all the great tailgating teams, like where they do all these great cookouts and stuff. And the one that he goes to when he goes, what is it, at Snapdragon?
Yeah.
So when he goes to see the team in San Diego, he said like that. What do? They just put out a menu, and then all they pretty much ask for is like a small
little contribution to do it for every game. I think we did a nacho bar this past Saturday versus Montreal for my chapter.
But they do it like completely outside the stadium. You said it's like a chapter, like in a sense.
Yeah,
right?
This is literally like an NFL Sunday for us now because of the NFL being gone, and now it's with Major League Soccer.
No, but I'm saying someone literally will bring grills and stuff, and they will literally just do it. Everyone brings grills, coolers full of beer, soda for the kids, water, you name it. We got like people that will perform live music, or like a live DJ comes. Like this is like 5 hours before the game even starts. Like it's an NFL Sunday. You're better off eating outside the stadium. I mean, it's not worth it. Like I guarantee you they charge like 40-50% markup when you go inside a stadium.
But here's the thing.
Here's the thing, guys.
Because I know the remark that we would make about the whole Yankee Stadium is, but don't you want to pay Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton?
Of course.
Like, it goes to my point about what I want to say with Artie. And that's Artie is saying this, or at least coming off like affordability and having star players in order to, and trying to do whatever it takes to be considered a winning franchise are two mutually exclusive things. And the sad part is, it sometimes seems that way with Major League Baseball, given how the Rays sell off players and the A's sell off players and the Pirates sell off.
He's acting like that, though. That's what he's acting
like.
I
think I think this is where the problem is going and where it's stretching further beyond the Angels into the whole disputes between the MLB and the MLBPA. It's one thing where it's bad to see the practices of these small market teams. It's worse when you see an owner like Hal Steinbrenner insinuating that they're going to cut payroll and they're just going to bring the same team back.
He said they were not profitable, which I laughed at.
Right. But it's insulting when you have a major market owner like Artie Moreno wants to portray. You say, oh, they're actually Anaheim. Yeah, but with the Los Angeles tag, you're going to represent the big market city.
Exactly.
That means a big market franchise owner is admitting, hey, I don't want star players other than my Mike Drought because, hey, I want to keep ticket prices affordable. And I think these comments, I think when the Dodgers were making the moves that they did during the offseason, the owners got the upper hand in this. Now with these comments coming out, I think respect for the owners is going to be lost because like you said, Callan, the quiet part has now been said out loud. That sometimes this desire for wins, like we see that with our fan bases,
they don't care about winning.
Right. Just is not there with ownership. But Nick, again, when it's one thing like a small market team, it's one thing. This is a major market franchise like the Los Angeles Angels. And obviously it's rubbed the players absolutely the wrong way, and I don't blame them.
But wait a second. You're kind of burning the candle at both ends because the Dodgers are spending $1 billion and pushing it all the way out to the Stone Age to the year 3000.
Oh, I'm not. But Nick, this is why it's such a problem, and this is why it has to be. And I talked about this with Callan during the breaking news stream that we did about Tony Clark. This is why it has to have the floor and the cap, and all 30 teams have to be in a vacuum.
Well, here's the other thing that blows my mind, and I looked it up too. Artie Moreno has a net worth of $5 billion. What? So I don't want to hear, I'm cheap. He could have kept Shohei if he really wanted to keep Shohei.
Well, Nick, hold on. And this is the bigger indictment, and it goes to that team. If this is your philosophy, then when you had Shohei Ohtani on the last year of his contract and the Angels weren't doing good, why did you not trade him? You could have gotten a massive effing haul.
They probably could have redone their whole team off that trade if they wanted to.
Absolutely.
You know why they didn't do it is because of the malpractice of the front office.
Well, their front office is a mess. I mean, look who they signed. They signed a 1-year deal for their manager. And his excuse was the lockout. Don't give me that excuse. You knew we had lockout issues. You knew we had business issues. You sign first of all, have you ever heard of a manager that signs a 1-year contract in any sport?
Let alone it's a 1-year deal for a rookie manager in Kurt Suzuki who's never managed before.
Well, everyone was saying the logic was, he's just happy to get a managerial job for 1 year.
That's so English.
How do you judge someone who's a rookie manager in 1 year?
You don't. You can't. You can't.
But Artie's had many issues though in the past. He's gotten in trouble for many things in the past. Just add this to his ledger of, I don't give a shit about my franchise anymore.
I was going to go further before I give Dino the floor, though, was not just that. I think, though, them getting burned on bad contracts. Vernon Wells, Josh Hamilton.
Albert Pujols.
Those three come to mind. Those are the main things that come to mind, though, for me. But, Dino, How about your thoughts, though, about maybe hearing an owner kind of already conceding victory for the upcoming baseball season when it comes to these comments made by Angels owner Artie Moreno?
Yeah, it just doesn't look good. I mean, whether that's the way you want to run a team or not, that's not something you should ever say publicly. I mean, you're in a competitive, you own a franchise in a competitive league, like the highest competitive league of that sport. So coming out and saying, oh, winning is not a priority, like that's just something you should never say out loud. Just keep that to yourself. If that's, yes, he brought up some good points. Yes, of course, there are families that go to the game and they want stuff to be affordable, but your goal as an owner should be to do both. You want to be able to win and provide an affordable product. And, he's basically coming out and saying, well, we can't do both. We're going to prioritize affordability at the cost of winning. And that's something that, true fans of the team want to win. If you're going to follow a team and be invested in that team, you want the team to win eventually. So, obviously sometimes you got to understand if a team's in a rebuilding phase, but you want the team to have the long-term goal of winning, of, making the playoffs, making the World Series, winning a championship. So it just doesn't look good.
Well, to Dino's point, I'm trying to figure out who it was that said, Ken Rosenthal. He was talking on foul territory. What? No, because he actually makes a point.
No, that's not why I'm laughing. Callan doesn't like Ken Rosenthal.
All right, but Callan, listen to me.
I'm all ears.
Okay.
All ears.
Artie Moreno said that what he said was the result of a fan survey. I agree with Rosenthal what he said on foul territory. If that's the case, and it's driving up all this controversy, you have all this tension between the union and the league and all the stuff going on with this team, release the survey. Show us the survey.
Because I get Angel ticketing emails from MLB.com, and normally they'll probably give you a feedback survey from your game experience.
You really think they use those? I don't think they use those.
Nick, that's what I'm insinuating, and I think that's what Rosenthal was insinuating, that he's lying.
No, I get it. First of all, they're not going to be able to force him to sell his team. They're not going to be able to do anything. The owners, because the owners would have to vote in majority. We all know the owners are a club. They don't do anything.
Well, Nick, if you want to talk about a ballsy move and something that goes into your territory.
Well, you're going to say Donald Sterling, right?
No.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. To that point, yeah. And Artie Moreno, based on what he said here, he's not doing controversy like a Donald Sterling. This is just cheap owner practice, which is very common, unfortunately, what we're seeing with Major League Baseball, certain teams. It's just a shame that a big market team is operating in this way like a small market team. Having said that, I know this is not something that is going to happen because A, this player's personality, and B, this player's contract. But I think the biggest statement that the players could make in terms of protesting Artie Moreno would be if Mike Trout walked into the office and said, trade me.
It's never going to happen. They're not going to be able to trade. I agree with you.
Nick, but I'm saying that not as a move. I think Callan said as a move of protest. Like if that's not your priority, then
that
trade.
Degree, before we get to the top of the hour and get to our next segment, the Clippers players protesting by having their shirts wrong side out during the playoffs in 2014 to protest Donald Sterling the day before he got the ban and the fine from the NBA.
Well, okay, I got to step in partially because those are two completely different situations.
I know they're two different things, but there would have to be some kind of a player revolt in some way. And with this comment, these comments coming out.
But wait, we see that the players could revolt a million times against the owners, and it's not doing anything.
Nick, I completely understand that, but that would be a statement to the media of,
no, I agree.
Our owner is basically bullshit.
No, I agree totally. I just don't. We've seen this before. Look at the Pirates owner who doesn't do shit and doesn't spend. Look at Colorado. Their owner doesn't
Nick,
spend
everything that
anything.
we're saying here is why I don't think one pick will be thrown in 2027.
The thing is that what do the Rockies and the Pirates both have in common?
They're cheap and they don't spend.
Their stadiums are beautiful, so they should be able to have more people outside of just coming to watch the stadiums be invested in the team as well.
Coors Field is one of the coolest stadiums ever. It's just that
they both have great backdrops. So it sucks that, unless you're a tourist going there to watch games, there's really no outside of that. The actual team itself is terrible.
It's just they do what a lot of the owners do. They stick the money in their pockets and they don't spend it. I don't get it.
Exactly.
And
all right, guys, top of the hour here. Go ahead, Gino.
I was just gonna say, like, with the Pirates, it seems like they always, and the Marlins too, actually, they always seem to have like these great young players, and then when it comes time to pay them, they just ship them away, and they never try to actually
to the major market.
Long-term.
Either, but it's the Yankees. I mean, I don't know. If we're regretting that trade partially with the Marlins for.
We'll see.
I don't know. But Miami's never going to compete if they just keep trading away their players once they become stars.
Miami used to have Giancarlo Stanton and Christian Yelich on the same team, but they never tried to actually build around them. They just shipped them away. And
you know what? The Stanton one they couldn't afford. The Yelich one, I think they actually got right with that trade because he was never the same player when he went to Milwaukee.
I won't fault Artie for some of these contracts working out because Pujols was Pujols.
That was a ridiculous contract.
Josh Hamilton was a
they
major
did sign
bust.
Pujols.
Right, and then Anthony Rendon. That's all Anthony Rendon issues. That has nothing to do with the team.
Well, then he became a head case though as his time was coming to an end.
Right, but I'm saying that's why the fault. That's on Anthony Rendon.
Well, yes, that one. Well, I don't think they're going to have to pay most of that because he chose to stop playing. But I think the Pujols contract. I guess the Cardinals must have known something because they were not willing to give him that 10th year. And in the long run, I think they benefited, even though they didn't want to lose their franchise player.
Right. Well, 2 years after they lost their franchise player, they were in the World Series.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I don't think they really cared one way or the other. But what did he make it through half that contract and ended up retiring?
I think he got to year 9 before they finally dealt him away.
Oh, did they get to year 9? I didn't realize that. But that contract was an albatross from the time he signed it.
Maybe year 8 because then he went to the Dodgers for that 1 year. Then he went back to St. Louis and then got to 500 home runs.
No, Albert? He got to 700
or whatever it was. But he
got
to that
700 with the Dodgers. I think.
But the count's right. He did go to the Dodgers for a year and then went to St. Louis, back to St. Louis for a year.
Because he got home run 700 in L.A. against the Dodgers as a Cardinal.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Oh, did he? Okay,
yep. I remember because that game was on Apple TV and everybody was revolted.
All right, guys. We'll get back to the Olympic Games now here and talk about the women's ice rain. Of course, Team USA women's hockey winning over Canada on Thursday, 2-1. Megan Keller, the game-winning goal. This also marked the return of NHL players back over to the Olympic Games. Other big wins, though, came from Michaela Schifrin, Alyssa Liu, and also Erin Jackson as well for Team USA. Tom, I'll start with you again for the hockey part of this conversation again. Obviously, this game was a knockout, drag-out game. Canada scores the first goal of the game shorthanded. They break Erin Frankel's massive shutout streak that she had going on. And that was the only, blip on the radar. And then obviously, I think, of course, though, the game-tying goal, Hillary Knight tips one in from Layla Edwards, ties the game with 2:04 left after they pulled Erin Frankel. And then the pass by Taylor Heisey all the way from the goal line down to the blue line. It's Megan Keller who plays defense, who goes in, dekes around one player, makes the beautiful backhand pass on Renee Desbiens for the game-winning goal to give Team USA their 3rd Olympic hockey medal. Tom, with both teams winning gold in OT versus Canada, as the hockey birthright somehow, some way moves south of the Canadian-American border after 2026?
I mean, you have to say somewhat, right? I mean, the U.S. got the gold medal against Canada in both games, outplayed Canada in both games. Is Canada going to have the talent? Yes. Is Canada going to have the better rosters? Most likely. But at the end of the day, where's the Olympic championship? Where's both Olympic championships? Right here in the good old USA, baby. We're the ones to beat now.
Yep.
Canada's going to have in international competition. Canada is going to have to be the one to fight back and actually take out the king. So here's what I'm going to say on that note. I meant to say this earlier before I started cutting out. Eliminate the NHL All-Star game and competitions completely. Let's just do the Four Nations year after year with the exception of the Olympics.
Tom, would you be all for the All-Star game reverting back to the North America versus the world format from the late 90s, early 2000s?
I wouldn't mind. I like the Four Nations better, but I wouldn't mind that.
Ben, what are your thoughts? Obviously, we all got captivated on Sunday. I was probably a little bit more lenient towards the women, knowing that this may have been Hillary Knight's final Olympic appearance. Again, 5 games, 5 medals, 2 golds, 3 silvers in her career. Still going to be playing in the PWHL from a Seattle Torrent, though. But, we talk about the script of the Team USA win, as Nick brought, though. A Jack Hughes gets cut in 80 off the Olympic roster. A Jack Hughes scores the game-winning goal to end the 46-year drought from the Miracle on Ice team that did so in 80. And then, of course, with the women's side, though, it's Hillary Knight ties the game with, I think, 12 rookies on this roster. Caroline Harvey played out of her mind, by the way. She won tournament MVP for Team USA. The American goaltenders, again, 2 goals allowed in 6 or 7 games played. And then it's Megan Keller, who plays defense, deking a defender, backhanding one past on Renee Desbiens for the game winner. And the celebration, of course, goes off as it did. And obviously, I think the domination that Team USA had showed, though, on the women's side was one thing. Obviously, of course, the men winning it, though. But, Ben, after these games, though, we get 4 years of bragging rights now as Americans to brag to the Canadians about winning in hockey. But your overall thoughts about both teams winning it and how they won it, though, too, over the past couple of days.
Yeah, I would say my word for both teams was just perseverance. Because I think both teams had a chip on their shoulder both teams, I think, in terms of the actual belief in their locker rooms, I think just wanted this more than anything. And you could see it through the pre-games, the post-games, and to also see, both teams after winning the gold kind of come together, which I thought was really, really cool to say, because you just don't obviously see that time to time. I mean, Hillary Knight, like you mentioned, Callan, Hillary Knight's going to go down as one of the greatest USA hockey players, let alone one of the greatest USA Olympic athletes to come out of our country for athletes. So what I also really loved, too, was the way the goals, of course, happened, for both the American, the United States. You had one goal of which pretty much was a highlighted reel type of goal, in which Megan Keller pretty much had off of a great pass from, the defense to the offense, past the blue line. Keller obviously dekes out the defender, goes backhand past the Canadian goalie and gets her stick up. While Jack Hughes, he, of course, gets, the defensive poke check from the defensive end, goes down the ice against Canadians' top guys, Cale Makar, Connor McDavid, and others, right? So, and then, of course, Jack Hughes shoots and scores, but the reaction's did he actually score? And then, of course, you just see everybody just going completely nuts. So, on one hand, you had, the women's side of things were we already knew that they were going to win, of course, after the Keller, crazy goal. And then, of course, there's a different way of the men's scoring as well. I feel like the women's team played a little bit better in terms of they were a little more on level, while the men's team, they of course weren't the better team, but they had a lot more of the things that they needed to have to be able to pull out these wins. And like Tom mentioned, now we're the Kings. Canada, there's a new sheriff in town. It's the United States of America. So
Oh, they are probably sick of "Free Bird" by Leonard Skinner. They're going to be having PTSD from that song for the next 4 years. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, we take out geese now. That's essentially what they want. So the Four Nations, I would be all up for that. By the way, I mean, to have it in Boston, I think was a great overall place, of course, to have it. Boston is obviously, of course, I'm a little biased here, but one of the top cities in terms of sports, and to have it in a type of environment like that. You have people from all over. Canada, of course, too. It's not – I wouldn't say it's crazy far from Boston, but it's it's kind of in that, northeastern kind of area, which you knew for a fact a lot of Canadians would come to something like that. So I mean, I could see it going. I mean, imagine if the Four Nations at Madison Square Garden, in a year or two after the United States just won the Olympic gold, what the draw would be for that. I mean, the MSG has obviously a great draw as is. I mean, Callan, if they brought Four Nations over to LA, that
LA, Anaheim, Vegas, even. Can you imagine that final being in Vegas?
Vegas would be just, I mean, on top of basically all the entertainment you already have, to put it into a situation which is really kind of growing year after year, especially with money, right? So, I would be all up for that. And I just think that the rivalry between both the Americans and Canadians has just gotten better because of the start of the Four Nations before the Olympics.
One quick stat, by the way, that now is 8 straight wins for the U.S. women's national team over Canada. They even had a 10-4 victory in Cleveland, I want to say, before the tournament leading up to the actual tournament. And, of course, they won again, 5-0 again with Marie-Philippe Poulin being out in that game because of her lower body injury. And then, of course, they win the gold medal game 2-1. And finally, for once, she doesn't score in a gold medal game for the first time in a long time. Nick Morganson, away from hockey maybe, other great storylines, though. Obviously, we will talk about Lindsey Vonn a little bit later. Again, I was all for her trying to give it a go, though. And as we learned, though, today with some of the news that we'll talk about later, but also, of course, Nick, figure skating captivated everybody's mind, though, with Amber Glenn, Isabeau Lobetta, and, obviously Alyssa Liu, again, how they broke that 20-year drought for them, for Team USA women not winning gold in figure skating. Obviously, Michaela Schifrin has been one of the absolute greatest of all time in the slalom event. Aaron Jackson, Brittany Bowe, also on speed skating. Where, again, though, Nick, I think that ESPN put a stat out. I think 63% of all the medals were won by female athletes in these games. And, again, it's also a record that the USA won 12 golds at the Winter Games. As you said, though, we're more of a, Summer Olympics nation usually. But, Nick, maybe away from hockey, any other things that maybe caught your mind, though, over the last couple of days of the Olympic coverage, though, where, again, I think I look more towards figure skating. Schifrin is still the greatest of all time, away with, along with Lindsey Vonn. But other storylines maybe that maybe you kept an eye on, though, as time had gone on here recently.
What was the other guy's name? Was it Stoltz or Schultz? Like, who was a massive, actually was an upset, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, he took the silver in the 1,500-meter final, yes.
Where remember you and I, when we were looking up the DraftKings odds, because, yes, you could bet on the Olympics if you wanted to. Yes, you could be a degenerate during the Olympics, not just during the regular seasons. And it was like a clear runaway. Like, second place was like so far gone that anyone you bet that wasn't him, you could have made like a shitload if you bet on any of the others. And I think the one who won was not even supposed to be a winner at all. Right. So that was the headline.
Somebody from China, I think, won that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then just some of the new stuff I didn't really like. The double, what was it? The skeleton you told me?
Skeleton, the luge, or with them doing like the doubles event for it, basically.
And then the curling controversy with Canada, I think.
Touching the stone twice.
Give me a break, man. Like, all over touching the freaking stone twice.
And rules are rules.
I get it, but I think the Sweden player forgot he was mic'd up while on TV and just started dropping F-bombs left and right on that was picked up on NBC. And I'm like, come on, dude, it's not that serious. You play a freaking sport where you send a big giant puck flying across the floor.
Whatever you want to call that, yeah.
It's not even. This is going to sound harsh, but that's not even a real sport to me, to be honest. Like that's just me.
It's the greatest
but everyone thinks they're a damn curling analyst whenever the games come around in 2030 in Paris.
I don't know. I'm just not the biggest into that. I can watch the skiing. I can watch all that stuff. I like the triathlon-ish type one also, where they have to carry the thing and do the shooting and all that stuff.
Triathlon, yeah.
That one was great. I actually like watching that one. It's also funny watching them trying to climb up the hill with the skis. Like that, like how much physical strength you need just to get the skis up that hill. I'm trying to think if there's anything else they really stood out. Oh, the having to lay on top of someone for the skeleton. That one was, I don't know how they did that. Like usually that's a one-person sport, isn't it?
And that's usually it's why I say that event usually scares me because of
70 miles an hour. You could be heading into a wall. I mean,
which
Well,
sadly in 2010 somebody was killed in the practice runs.
that clip lives rent free in my brain every Winter Olympics.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. There is some interesting sports to watch. The Lindsey Vonn thing, which we're going to talk about, I don't agree with her going back on the course and playing again. Her leg was already destroyed and shattered. I saw a video come out today that apparently she said if it wasn't for the amazing surgeon she had, she would have had her full leg amputated.
And we were literally going to talk about that here shortly, too.
So, well, we can talk about it in a little bit. I'm just bringing up that's the one thing that stood out to me, except for the hydraulic acid being inserted into.
And don't forget about the amount of condoms that were being used in the Olympic Village.
Oh, well, no, they made it past the 10,000 free ones that they were allowed to use.
Yeah.
I keep questioning myself. I'm like, is it really that boring in Italy that that's all you do?
Well, usually I don't really know how often that the athletes get to leave the village, though. What's the problem?
I mean, and then you saw the relationship drama that went down also. Remember, Callan?
Yes.
What was it? What were the two teams again that had the broken up relationship?
Oh, that was Team USA Canada women's hockey.
As awkward as that gets. And then there was also a marriage that took place too, right?
Hillary Knight proposed to Brittany Bowe before the gold medal game.
Yeah,
Man,
she got couple rings back to back. Pretty good.
literally. So see, you can have love or hate, and you can still win or lose at the Olympics. I mean,
Exactly. Dino, anything else in your mind that stood up from these Olympic Games, though, when it comes to Team USA?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see. I mean, we got some gold medals in some events that we hadn't gotten in a while. Besides, of course, the two hockeys, we also got the figure skating, women's figure skating. I remember when I was a kid, Sarah Hughes, way back in 2002.
Oh yeah! Wow.
So that and that was the last time, I believe, right? So
I think so. In Salt Lake City.
So yeah, that it was nice to see that. Stoltz, we were mentioning, he had some pretty dominant performances, but then also got silver in an event where he was heavily favored to win. Overall, though, still a very successful Olympics for him, and I'm sure he'll be back in 4 years as well. Overall, a very good showing for Team USA. I mean, obviously, Norway always dominates the Winter Olympics, and they did once again, but Team USA definitely showed out in a lot of events.
I was going to say Klebo won, I think, 8 medals, I think, and all were gold in his events, though. So, like the modern day or the winter version of Michael Phelps was on display. And
actually, one more thing, I got to shout out to my Italians as well. My background's Italian, and Team Italy did great as well. 3rd place in medals. So.
And not just that, though. That's a lot of pressure for the host nation to finish in the top part of the medal count. And I mean, I think the best moment was the speed skating gold that the women's side had won, and it was the celebration with her kid and her husband in the crowd. And obviously that's a Dutch-owned sport, really, which is speed skating by the Netherlands. And obviously we know that Stoltz was kind of chasing Eric Heiden's record of 5 medals in 80, and he didn't get there, obviously, this past year. But I think, though, again, great year for everybody when it came to the Olympics, and also Team USA again, a record-setting performance with gold medals at the Olympics in Italy. Guys,
you'll probably get, by the way, you'll also get one more Olympics from the bench episode at some point to wrap up the entire.
To really recap this whole thing. Probably tomorrow night we'll probably have that for you folks late in the evening to wrap up what of course happened. Guys, this one has kind of been a bit of a talking point for Bench Money tonight regarding men's hockey's victory again on Sunday. But guys, I heard some rumblings this morning of national media really becoming desperate to call the victory on Sunday the 2.0 of the miracle on ice for Team USA men's hockey beating Canada. Again, Jack Hughes' goal comes 46 years to the day of the 1980 victory over the Soviets. However, of course, it was amateur hockey in 80 versus pros in 26, where now it's best versus best. Nick Morganson, why in the hell are we so obsessed with comparing 80 to 2026 at this rate?
You can't compare the games. I mean, if you want to say it's cinematic, because that's the way the Jack Hughes goals was, like I said before, that's fine. but the storylines and the timeline in history are two completely different situations. You're talking about war compared to last time. And I don't mean war as in like playing teams. I'm talking about real life war. Cold War.
Cold War, yes.
Like, so you can't compare from that standpoint because historically the story was different at that point in time. We were fighting not just against the world when it came to the Olympics. We were fighting the world for our own safety in that regard. So I don't get why we do this. We do this in professional sports all the time where we try to compare the NBA of today to the 1990s. And you just can't do it because in the 90s, you could knock somebody over and just say, rub some dirt on it and get up. In 2026, you knock somebody over, they yell and they scream and they cry and they bitch and they moan until they get a foul.
And you get fined.
And then you get fined for it. So you can't compare eras because, again, everything is done differently. Each decade, if you want to say in that regard, is different than the next decade that comes up because everything is treated different.
Well, I'm sorry to interject, but Callan, if I'm not mistaken, and I only know this because I'm the social media person of that show, when you guest hosted MTGP last week with Nick DiMartino, you guys kind of touched on that when it came to load management and all these
which Nick did, and he in a way was comparing and contrasting the eras of the Bill Russell 60s and the 70s and the 80s.
Right,
and
but Nick D's point was that Adam Silver's provisions that he's trying to do to combat tanking and load management fails to consider the players of this generation versus the NBA generations of the past.
It's not the 90s. That's what Adam... Now, I get where he's coming from in that regard when it comes to comparing the eras, because this is what I call the softy generation, where we have to sit out 15, 20 games a year just to make it through an 81-game season.
82.
But, 82, right. And they just don't want to play. And then this goes back to the whole fan situation again, where they're putting in all this money and they're not getting their money's worth for games when they show up. You want to compare to that. That you could compare saying that fans don't get their money's worth.
So I guess, Dino, to go to you with this one, though, obviously, I don't buy the narrative. I mean, it's completely apples to oranges. Again, more importantly, that was not just college versus pros with the Soviets. That was a semifinal game. As Tom said, though, at the top of the show, was that if the Americans win that game and don't beat Finland, they don't get a medal at all because of how the format was structured back in 1980. So, Dino, in your mind, fair or foul to compare last night's or yesterday's win for Team USA men's hockey for the gold medal to the 1980 Miracle on Ice team that won it, of course, in 80 in the fashion that they did it, though?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't really compare one to the other. It's definitely not on the same level. Obviously, just the fact that it happened on the same day, on the anniversary, that's something, like, okay, well, the last time we won the gold medal in hockey was this day 46 years ago. Well, actually, no, it wasn't, right? Because that was the semifinal game.
They ended up winning
it. The last.
They ended up winning it 2 days later on the 24th.
Right. So, but yes, okay. So that was the day they won the semifinal game.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to say, like, okay, well, it happened on the anniversary of that day, but it's not exactly the same type of victory. The fact that the reason it's called the Miracle on Ice is because of how heavily favored the Soviets were, compared to these U.S. amateurs. And then you add in the backdrop of the Cold War at the time, which was pretty much at its height, and the fact that they were able to come away victorious, obviously is a big moment, not just in sports history, but in world history as well. So this definitely doesn't compare. I mean, the U.S. were only slight underdogs in this game. So they, even though Canada was expected to win from the beginning of the tournament, the U.S. was pretty much right there. And especially once Canada lost Sidney Crosby, that definitely hurt them as well. So, yeah, you can't really compare the two victories on the same scale, but it's just nice to say, like, okay, it happened on the anniversary of the day they beat the Soviets. But
Ben, I've been afraid to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Sure.
This tangent about is this greater than 80, as Nick and Tom and yourself kind of laid out, though, and I laid this out, though, in the benchmarks episode, 46 years ago, fellas, we're talking about the Cold War, the Soviets invade Afghanistan, gas being out of control, Watergate, Carter's presidency, the crisis of confidence, all that stuff I laid out, though. But also, Ben, why do I feel like, though, that this take is a absolute slap in the face to that 1980 team that, again, pulled this nation out of a rut where, again, you weren't flying a flag back in 80. You weren't feeling good about home life because of the gas lines and mortgage rates and the bank, charging you 20% interest on your house payments. That, in a way, that it does feel like, in a way, it's like a bit of a slap in the face to the team that helped put American hockey on the map. Obviously, we can talk about 60 winning in Squaw Valley in NorCal. We can talk about 80, or talk about how that 80 team planted the siege, though. But I think, Ben, this is very much a rainy day, snow day around the water cooler sort of talking point about, can we compare the two? You can't, because college guys beat pros, in name in 80. This was NHL best versus NHL best on Sunday. I think that's, case closed. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, I think a lot of people are kind of making the perception as well, because the U.S. has not won a gold medal since that point in time. So, of course, people want to, make assumption, in terms of, well, we can now kind of look back in terms of this is a similar type of ending in which, okay, you could say the ending, of course, is great, but, like Nick mentioned others in terms of, like, we were in completely different societies between this one and the one that was way back then. So it's just so tough. Like, you could put it in perspective in terms of the way, the Soviets, obviously you beat the Soviets and becoming a massive underdog with all these amateurs. And then, of course, you have this team in which you could be looked at as more of the underdogs because you're playing an overall country that has been you countless of time in the Olympics from this decade, and you finally get over the hump. So you can have a similar type of storylines of, like, you finally get over the hump in these two different types of situations. But the actual point in time that we're actually looking at these two different types of situations is what I think people kind of have to realize. You have one of the situations in which one is completely different and the other one is just the way it is.
Tom, I got to watch the Netflix documentary that they released before the end of last year, where it's called Miracle: The Boys of 80, and I think they had almost the entire team, look back at old footage, and they talked more in depth about the team and stuff, and it was really an eye opener, and obviously Miracle has been one of my favorite hockey movies of all time, sports movies of all time, with what Gavin O'Connor and Disney did in 2004, and I think though that the opening of the movie, where they, like, in a way, put you through a timeline of everything that was going down, though, across the world between 70 and 79. Again, as I mentioned, though, in the Benchmarks episode, again, you can catch that on your podcast app, as I've been, as we usually say here for Benchmarks or Small Market Edition. But again, Tom, inflation, the gas shortages, the energy crisis, the hostage crisis over in Iran, the Soviets invade Afghanistan, the boycott of the Moscow Olympic Games that exact summer. Again, no one had American pride like we do now in 2026. So I think that 80 still holds more weight because of, again, it literally picked this country up off of its ass with where it was, though, at that time frame. So, Tom, fair or foul to compare 26 to 80?
Foul. Like I said earlier, I think if we're comparing moments in terms of gameplay, like we're in terms of the in-game action, Jack Hughes' game-winning goal is going to take the cake because of the circumstances of overtime hockey goal for a championship. As much as I'm a baseball person more than a hockey person, I've been on the record since the early days where Nick and I were podcasting that I think playoff hockey is perhaps the best kind of playoffs that you see in the four major American professional sports. And what we see in the Olympics, especially, especially once we begin quarterfinal round, that technically is not just playoff hockey, but
Game
NFL
7.
style. NFL style playoff hockey. It's one and done.
Yeah.
Knockout rounds. World Cup style.
And the stakes continuously get more higher. And higher.
Exactly then.
Yeah.
Good.
No, but having said that, in terms of overall story and overall feeling of American pride, yeah, it's obviously going to be the 80s team by far.
So I just want to make one point here because I thought of an actual comparison when people say they want to compare the 80s to now. It's kind of like the LeBron Michael Jordan debate that we hear on talk radio on a rainy day.
The two different eras.
With two different eras. Oh, LeBron's better. Well, Michael Jordan's better. Well, to be honest, you really can't compare the two because they played in two completely different eras when it came to playing in the NBA. Now, I will always say Michael Jordan will be the best player and best NBA player of all time because, again, he accomplished more titles than LeBron ever did. But at the same time, you're going to get people who are going to say, well, LeBron scored more points. But you could also say LeBron played in an easier era where more fouls were called and he got sent to the line much more often.
But then you could also talk about all the NBA stars who kind of dipped their toes in both eras. You know,
True.
Kobe Bryant technically played in both eras. He came
That's
in
true.
at the end of Jordan's run.
Right, but he even before his career ended, like the rules were nothing like they are now, where every touch foul is a foul. Like
right. No, but I'm saying just focusing on those two athletes in particular and talking about their eras also fails to consider some of the, if not GOATs, then at least one tier under GOATs who also played in both eras of the NBA, of both the LeBron era and the MJ era of the NBA.
But yeah, you just can't compare the two. It's like comparing LeBron to MJ. You just can't really do it.
It's apples to oranges. I mean, I'm of the belief, though, that 80 was a political miracle for Team USA. And it literally got the country, like, restarted, trying to start your car and it won't start. That was like the engine driver that really, got.
They were not supposed to win.
They were not supposed. I mean, I would have loved to have seen betting odds on that game if they were even, available back in 80, for heaven's sake.
I think this win does bring up a lot of country pride, but nothing like what you saw in 1980.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, Russia was the overwhelming favorite back in the Miracle on Ice. Like, the USA was not even supposed to sniff any part of that game whatsoever. That they managed to win that in the last 10 seconds of that game.
Was 10 minutes of the game, 10 minutes.
But I just mean generally to hold off in the end. Like, that was a miracle. This, on the other hand, like, USA had a chance to win the entire tournament from the start. So, two different eras, completely different game, just completely different storylines.
For sure. I 80 for me still takes the cake. I mean, the victory yesterday, the monkeys, the Canadian monkey is off, the Canadian goose is off your back, but it won't top 80. It's not going to top 80 anytime soon for what it meant.
Well, 80 changed history. That's why.
It did. And that really was where the seed got planted for more American players to start playing the game, and that kind of led to the the NHL having more American-born players because of 80. I mean, Ken Morrow, I think, won 4 straight cups with the Islanders in 80 from 80 to 84 after he won the gold medal for the fish sticks out there on Long Island, as I like to call them. So there you go. Guys, to the back of the napkin again. Nick touched base on this a little bit earlier, but of course, doctors did confirm this weekend that Lindsey Vonn did risk amputation, a la Alex Smith, to make her Olympic comeback at age 41. She did not even medal, but of course did finish the event. But of course did sadly have to be airlifted to the hospital after crashing during one of the events. Nick Morganson, at what point though does the Olympic grit cross the line into genuine insanity, and is the risk worth a non-podium finish? Where again, I think the video that you mentioned though did come out though, where if it wasn't for some fact-acting surgeons, Nick, we could have been talking about Alex Smith 2.0 all over again. It sounds like.
Now, I don't know if Alex Smith was he really as close as her as getting?
They said it was pretty close because of blood clotting, I think, with his leg break.
I forgot the name of the situation she had, but apparently it had to do with like blood, like building up.
And I think they said it was an artery issue too.
Right. So, and I'm I hear this argument a ton now when I talk to people about it, like, oh, well, she's an athlete and athletes that, and I agree. I understand where that argument comes from, that this is all they've done since they were a small child, that they train for the Olympics because that's all they know. So in her mind, she's like, oh, well, I'm 41 years old. I'm not competing in the next Olympics. But at the same time, what did she? She fractured her tibia? Or
Yeah, she fractured her leg really, enough to, and also she ripped the ACL that she already had ripped several times earlier too.
I mean, you have to know when to like call bullpen. Like if you're that hurt, you got to go, because she seriously could have did herself incompletely. She did get hurt again. I mean, I get it. Athletes sometimes
on global television.
Correct, but I'm saying sometimes athletes are too stubborn for their own good at times. They think that they know better than everybody else. And that's a big problem when it comes to athletes, because they say, oh, well, put me in, coach, I'm ready, even though I'm hurt. Now, I don't know if that's an adrenaline rush that she said, oh, I want to get back out there so I don't think about the injury. But I think because of the original injury, that's why she got hurt worse the second time. I think because what do you do when you have a massive injury? You compensate when you have a massive injury. I think that was a big mistake. I understand she said she went out and did it for her mom. And I'm not taking that away from her. I understand why she did it, but it was a big mistake, because then now she's going to have rigorous process to get her leg repaired. And I don't think she's ever going to be fully repaired, ever.
Dino, to echo Nick's point, though, we talk about the warrior mentality of any athlete. That includes those that are curlers and those that are snowboarders, that you obviously you play through the pain. I did that quite a lot with my baseball and hockey playing career. The knee might be giving out a little bit, but hey, you're going to try to get through that next shift or get through that next inning of play. Dino, in your mind, though, with the news about Lindsey Vohn's injury and also about the risk of amputation, Dino, at what point, though, does the Olympic grit cross the line into genuine insanity, and is the risk worth a non-podium finish as it was, though, for Vaughn over in Italy, in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know it was probably her last chance to ever play in an Olympics, but if you literally have a torn ACL, I don't care. Like, you need to think about your long-term health there. Because, she really needed to weigh the fact that, is she really going to, even if she hadn't crashed, is she really going to be able to actually go out there and win anyway? I don't think it was really worth the risk for her. If you're telling me she could have actually lost her leg just to compete one last time, you still got a whole life to live. So, you're only in your 40s. You still got a long life to live. You got to think about your long-term health there, and just bow out gracefully and just admit that it wasn't meant to be this one last time, and that's it.
Ben, that went to a point I brought, though, on Olympics from the bench, though, because, the day before I'm like, if you feel good enough, give it a shot. And obviously that comes with the risk, though, about what we saw, though, with the footage, though, of her wiping out. And I think she even wrote in her caption that, she caught the gate, her leg gave out, it went the wrong way. Of course, they had to airlift her off the mountain to the hospital. 3 days worth of surgery. And now, again, we hear about the potential amputation, where then I went back, and kind of in a way, Nick's least favorite word is backtracking. I said, okay, you guys can take this one, though. But then my other main thing, though, Ben, is where's the Team USA doctor? Where's the Olympic doctor to say, Lindsey, this is not worth it. You're competing on already on a, compromised leg with the ACL being ripped and the brace being on, though. Yeah, you may feel like you're 98% good, though, on that knee. But if you go slightly the wrong way for even, an inch, you're screwed, as she then said in her IG caption. So, Ben, to you, though, at what point, though, does the grit, though, cross the line into genuine insanity, but also the risk, as we have said, though, about the non-podium finish, but also, as Dino said, though, life after skiing?
Yeah, this is a situation, at least a competitor like her, that, you really have to kind of, like Dino mentioned, you got to kind of take your life into perspective. And I know, of course, she is one of the most competitive athletes that's out there for the Olympics. It's going to be one of her last ones. But unfortunately, do you want to kind of be looked at the end of, your life because of a specific moment where it could have been avoided? And, for her, the fact that I remember reading an MCL she was trying to ski on, and the amount of cutting that you have, like you mentioned, Callan, that one type of cut, and you should obviously, and listen, nobody, of course, wants to ever risk injury. I mean, that of course, is one big thing, of course, no matter what happens. But of course, when she obviously got hurt again, I looked at it and I told myself, I'm like, well, that's kind of like the risk that you could have had happen. That could have been unavoidable if either a doctor or you kind of yourself kind of just took into perspective, like, well, I can take a step back and root for her in terms of our country. Like, she kind of feels like somebody that would be able to still do that. So, she was trying to be a hero, which of course I could understand, but being a hero and trying to risk yourself and being a hero and actually like taking the perspective is another thing as well. So I do like how she's been doing better. She's recovering. And she's of course been given the updates in terms of on our social media and everything like that. But I just wish, at least for her sake of things, I mean, of course, it's her life, that she, of course, just takes a little more on the precautionary side than for her to try to, go out and be heroic and try to keep risking herself potentially for something else like that.
Tom, Lindsay would be 45 by the time the games resume in 2030 in the Paris Alps. I mean, or the French Alps. And I really think with the injury now that she's finally done. But also, Tom, I felt bad. I got to watch the video after I finished off work, and I wanted to puke. It was that atrocious of a fall. And she was very blunt, though, when she said, in this, in my sport, if you just go 1 inch right, 1 inch left, though, and you catch your ski, you are in massive trouble. But like I also, in a way, said, like I asked Ben, though, where do you finally draw the line, though, when you know that your own physical limitation has been compromised? You go out there and still try to compete, though. But I also, Tom, would have even, said, Lindsay, you've done it all in your career. Yeah. Pass the torch to Michaela Schifrin. Pass the torch to the next wave and generation of American female skiers, and not risk anything further. And that's where I keep saying, yes, I said go for it, but then it's also like, why did no one step in? Why did someone in the inner circle not step in and things like that? But Tom, your thoughts about Lindsey Vonn? Oh, Tom, you're on mute, buddy.
Yep. And that was exactly the point that I was going to go to, Callan, is that there should have been somebody, there should have been a doctor who said at this point, even not just telling Lindsay, but telling whoever the Olympic officials who are in charge and you have to go to, say, I'm going to medically disqualify Lindsay because she cannot go on that leg. And as a medical professional overseeing athletes, I cannot give an assurance of safety. I cannot give an assurance. I mean, obviously, all sports, including especially that kind of sport, there is a risk factor. But saying that Lindsay's health was already compromised and I can't, consciously, ethically give a seal of approval for her to compete. There should have been somebody who stepped in there early. And Callan, she's going to be 45. She just came off. She's already had a great career, tries for the comeback. It's a hell of a story, but it ends in this kind of tragic fashion. And I know this is not the kind of fashion you wanted an athlete to go out on, but I think this is the reality.
I also think, as you mentioned too, Tom, is she kind of wanted to kind of have like a passing of the torch moment because
fair.
She's getting kind of up there. And a lot of athletes, whether it's Serena Williams in tennis, whether it's Lindsey Vonn, and
who might be coming back, by the way,
whether it's Serena,
yeah,
Really?
Well,
really,
yeah.
Okay.
LeBron, right? Those type of generational type of Olympic or whatever type of athletes, they might want to try to go overboard in a way, as much as it might be tough for them because they realize that this younger generation is up and coming, and they're probably going to be the ones to kind of take over. So that's kind of maybe something else that she was maybe trying to take into consideration that she was trying to risk herself.
I just want to point out some context because I looked this up. So, based on reports regarding her 2026 injuries, Lindsey Vonn was not explicitly told by her U.S. medical team not to compete, but she was racing with 100% ruptured ACL and a partial knee replacement. She acknowledged that her medical team was evaluating her condition daily to make, quote, smart decisions.
Like,
and
how though?
Well, her medical team failed her.
Wait, so I just want to make sure I get this right. So discussions online suggested that medical professionals warned her of her risks, with some indicating she was advised that another fall would lead to severe consequences, such as catastrophic injury she ultimately suffered. Okay, so
well, it makes sense.
There are reports that she was told not to go back out there.
No mas.
Now, sometimes, and this is what I said earlier, athletes don't know their own good sometimes when they're hurt.
They don't know their own limitations.
So what happens
is there a rule? Like I was kind of implying earlier.
Like a medical.
A doctor can say, "Yeah, I'm not going to get."
I would think so, because Mark McMorris missed, I think, the whole event for the big air for snowboarding because he suffered a concussion.
I'm trying to look this up as we speak here.
Well, that's kind of like in the NFL, if you're in concussion protocol, you need clearance from a third party not affiliated with the team to be able to go back out and compete. So I think there needed to be a similar thing with Lindsey Vonn too.
Okay.
Unless there was pressure in order to ensure that she would compete.
Okay, so it says here a Team USA medical doctor or designated competition physician has the authority to declare an athlete unable to compete at the Winter Olympics. Their priority is to safeguard the athlete's health and safety, allowing them to determine if the athlete is fit to compete.
Well, look, I get giving her the choice because she is a grown woman. But at the same time, if you as a medical professional, it feels like there could have been more done, which means you didn't do enough as a medical professional.
Well, it says here also if a physician deems a condition, and there's a few big names here which I can't pronounce scientifically, but it says if it renders participation unsafe, they can override the athlete's desire to compete according to the Olympic Movement Medical Code. So why didn't they step in and say, hey, you have a ruptured Achilles and a knee replacement, and you wiped out once. Why were you not stopped from going back out there?
Tom, that's literally like the cornerman throwing the towel in boxing or MMA.
Correct.
Well, yeah, but at least the UFC and MMA and boxing, don't they have
ringside doctors?
Well, yes, but I'm saying even after a fight ends, they go on medical leave.
Suspension, yes.
They go on medical suspension, even win or lose. They go on medical suspension for 3 months, I think, or something, at least.
Mm-hmm. But I think to Callan's point is that cornermen in combat sports have the ability to step in and stop a fight and just say, "Hey, fight another day." Something like that should have happened in this situation.
I think this is worse, though, because she had a major wipeout with that injury, and she was allowed to go back out there.
I'm saying, somebody should have done something more.
Someone should have said, hey, enough, no mas. We get it. We're not taking your athlete card away from you. We know you're we know you're a tough individual. We got it.
To Christy Wilson's point, she needed to be protected from herself in this situation.
Well, right. That's what I was saying. Athletes have to be protected from themselves at times because They think, I can just throw 100 innings as a pitcher. I don't need Tommy John surgery. I'll just keep throwing till my arm falls off.
Oh, man. All right, Nick, you ready for this crap?
Clown show! Clown show! Clown show! Clown show!
Welcome, everybody, to day number 146 of the WNBA lockout latest. It's been that long since Nafisa Collier, of course, called out Kathy Engelbert after the Minnesota Lynx were knocked out of the postseason. But guys, today though, the WNBA union says that the $8 million that the league has raked in does belong to the players, but the league currently still saying that the CBA is currently unclear on the dispersal and has set a March 10th deadline for a new agreement or season delays will occur. Nick, is the league lifting all the momentum from the 2025 season by playing hardball over a relatively small $8 million payout that the league finally has turned in revenue?
So much for the reports that the W's not making any money, and that if they were to give them a higher percentage of the pie, that they're going to be hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. Good job, Kathy. You met the league met the numbers. You owe them the revenue share. This is cut and dry. Like, there's no way around it. I forgot.
Give it up for day number 146.
I forgot. They put that new feature in where you can put the banner above now instead of below.
Oh my god.
But
coming soon, Callan and Nick's long-awaited 7-hour WNBA lockout stream.
Well, it can't.
What am I even doing on March 10th? Let me go check the calendar. Go ahead, Nick.
I mean, they can't have a lockout anymore because they basically deem that ineligible now.
Oh, good. I'm off that day. Let's go.
But
hopefully it's coming.
But they're going to go on strike because there's no way, because the report.
Oh wait, we're going to do what?
On strike. We're going on strike. I still don't know what strike means, but we're going on a strike.
I mean, there's going to be a strike because I told you originally when we did the last episode of Press Row that the number that the WNBPA fought back to was outrageous. Like, because what did they want? They wanted 30%.
Yes.
Which you knew that the owners were never going to agree to that whatsoever. What I said is they should have gone 20% and called it a day and moved on. Both sides could have agreed and we would have been done. But according to the owners, they're not willing to budge past 15% of revenue for the players. And again, I'm going to say this. The players are the one who make the money in professional sports for the owners. It's not the other way. The owners get this confused because they think, because we pay them, we're the one that generate the revenue. The players on the court or the field are the ones that generate that money, that put, as you would say, butts in seats. That they are the people that put the butts in seats, not the owners. The owners might spend the money and foot the bill. But if you don't have a Caitlin Clark, or you don't have a Brianna Stewart, or you don't have an Asia Wilson, you don't have all these big names playing in the
Sabrina Ionescu, Angel Reese.
Right. I can take that name or leave it. God, that got me so mad yesterday that someone was like professing love to Angel Reese.
But I think the point is, those women are the reason why the WNBA was finally able to turn a profit this year.
Oh, the players are the reason why they turned a profit. Screw the owners. The owners didn't make the league money. They're shoving more money in their pocket. Look at the valuations, Callan, when we talked about it on Press Row. The Aces went from what, 50 to 300 million or something?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen unless you have Asia Wilson and you have those players and you won 3 out of the last 5 WNBA titles. I mean, this is so messed up. And this is the issue that Major League Baseball is having too, where the owners are just saying, look, we want a salary cap because we don't want to keep raising the bar on the contracts. Well, the players help you make the money, not your dumbasses. I mean, you keep raising the money on food and parking to the point where people are just not going to pay and they're going to watch it at home on their big screen TVs and where the bathroom is right near you and you don't have to wait on a line for 2 hours inside the stadium. But for this situation specifically, the players are in the right. The owners have not done anything to budge. Callan, would you agree that the players have done more budging than the ownership?
And we even heard from Natasha Cloud, again, WNBA veteran on Press Row. It was a TikTok she filmed from her car where she was breaking down everything. And we even heard, Nick, about a 3-letter abbreviation called NDAs, too.
Oh, that was a first. You and I didn't even know about that they apparently signed NDAs, and that's why they were not allowed to talk about numbers, in public while they were saying they're fighting for their new CBA deal and percentages. I mean, I thought that there were worse commissioners in sports. I think Kathy Engelbert is the worst commissioner in professional sports. And that's saying a lot with Roger Goodell and what's his name?
Rob Manfred.
Well, Rob Manfred in hockey. I don't
Gary
know why.
Bettman,
Gary Bettman.
Ron Barber.
Yeah, I mean, I thought those were bad guys. Kathy Engelbert is the worst. Like,
by the way, just for future reference, Tuesday, December 1st, 2026, 12-hour ETB MLB lockout stream.
Yes.
I'm in. I'm ready.
Yes.
I forgot. It's such a weird date, too. December 1st.
Yeah.
Ryan and David get ready to learn March. Oh, was it December 1st?
Well, we do have something in the pipeline when we officially hit the lockout. I mean, I could show it to everybody if you want.
No, let's wait.
You want to leave it?
Not right now.
That's going to be fun. It's going to happen. We all know. Right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a lockout. By the way, this is going to be insane. We're going to have a WNBA lockout, an MLB lockout, and possibly at the same time. What the hell are we going to do with this?
What?
Hey,
well, you know what?
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though, really quick. Would you go through a lockout and have great weather, or would you watch sports and have a blizzard?
No, I would take the sports and have a blizzard. At least I can watch something.
I want my sports.
At least I can watch something.
True. I mean, to be fair, though, we went through COVID, and obviously we didn't have sports through that. And I think we did okay for a little bit.
I mean, the best part was during COVID, people were placing bets on professional ping pong.
And
Yeah.
And I was like, professional ping pong? I don't even know who it... I was like, really? Like,
man.
Well, you know what? Hey, maybe Ben, you and the rest of the hitting for the cycle crew, maybe you guys can be a KBO podcast for a little bit.
KBO, NPB,
I gotta see what
Mexican
Ryan
League,
like besides baseball.
Caribbean Series.
we're going to start simulating MLB The Show.
Oh, goodness.
We'll
the Dodgers have won their 5th consecutive World Series.
Oh, God damn it.
Hey, you could control it. You make sure the Dodgers don't win.
You know what? Bring the Olympics back for the lockout.
They'll be here in less than 2 years' time.
That'd be
They
great.
should have the WBC next year during the lockout. At least that way there's still baseball.
Well,
I don't know if they're
it's
allowed
funny
to
that you-
compete, though.
Well, one,
I guess
that,
not,
but it's funny you say that because, you know, we're talking about all this time about the NHL pros being in the Olympics and the NBA players being in the Olympics. And now the NFL players are going to be in the Olympics with flag football. I mean,
2 years.
right. Well, Callan, that's the thing. We talked about this on a couple of shows last week. You know, the World Baseball Classic, the Olympics for 2028 are using the WBC to select some of their countries that are going to compete in the baseball tournament at the Olympics in LA in 2028.
Yes.
You would have to assume that if we get a full season lockout and there's no 2027 MLB season,
They can't go to the Olympics.
I think that's going to put pressure on the MLB. Hey, all the other sports are doing it, and now we just didn't have.
No, I agree with you.
Baseball full season.
I agree with you, but if they don't have a CBA agreement in place, that's a whole different problem.
Wouldn't the Olympics be during the MLB season though?
Yeah, it would be. They would have
like hockey.
It says
all right,
here.
So then can I throw something out there?
Go ahead.
Could the players just speaking things out loud say, okay, you don't want a salary floor? Then we want what hockey has. Every 4 years, no all-star game. We're going to have a 2-week or break or so in early August instead for the MLB players to go to the Olympics. And we'll extend the season into October and the playoffs into November to do
now the only thing, Tom, would be I think it would depend which cities host the Olympics for summer. Because I think
Yep.
that it only varies if they're a baseball playing nation, like 2028, for example, the U.S.
Well, in LA, yeah.
In LA, I think 2032 is in Australia, so maybe they would take the game down there
Okay,
to
okay,
Sydney or
fair.
to Melbourne.
Okay, fair. But I always hear the complaints from some people, including here on this network, about how they hate the WBC because it's preseason and the
Yes.
risk that it goes for a season. So what if they said, okay, no salary floor, no WBC, but now baseball's back in the Olympics, and every 4 years you have to extend the season into October and the postseason to November. We get a 2-week or 3-week break in August so we can go play in the Olympics.
I would take the Olympics over the WBC any day. I would. I think the Olympics holds more power. I feel like.
Would you be willing to lose the salary floor so that way they could go to the Olympics?
So the salary floor meaning that that the teams would have to spend a certain amount.
Required to spend.
I mean, required to spend a certain
Correct.
amount. I don't know how I feel about that, but
Well, it's not going to be an easy situation. You're going to have to live with something.
But Tom and I even talked about this on the side. This could be a 2-year lockout the way this goes, because they're not going to agree. We already know that the two sides are never going to agree to a
But I
salary
think
cap.
to Dino's point, that's kind of the point. Hey, you're denying us because you two sides can't get along. You're denying us from our baseball. We want see our stars and our players.
Well,
and as much as I implied last week with Callan during that breaking news stream, that a certain someone in our federal government would be somebody who sides with the owners.
Yes.
If you brought about the idea in him about the big name players in the sport playing for Team USA, like we're seeing with this current WBC, he might be convinced to say, hey, owners, my fellow rich guys, maybe let him have this one.
Well, I was going to throw another one out there because I think we're going to be sitting in a lockout for a while the way this is going.
Yep.
If that's the case, we get to the point where the Olympics are coming up and we're still sitting in a lockout, the MLBPA should file a grievance against Major League Baseball saying that you're holding us out for no apparent reason. We trying to negotiate. You guys are not negotiating in what's that dumb phrase they use all the time?
In good faith.
Right. Negotiate in good faith. We're filing a grievance to go to the Olympics. And if you don't listen to our grievance, we'll take you to court over it in that regard. I don't know. I don't think it'll ever make it to court because they're going to claim that the Olympics has nothing to do with the CBA negotiations, which actually in technical terms, it does have to do with the CBA. So that's what I would do personally. If I was in charge, I would file a grievance against Major League Baseball and say, hey, you're holding us hostage just because you don't like that we don't want a salary cap. That's not our problem. Let us go to the Olympics.
I mean, yeah. This is going to be a very weird year with how things are going towards the baseball lockout. Again, day number 146 since Nafisa Collier called out Kathy Engelbert after the playoff elimination right now of March the 10th for where, in fact, that the WNBA would hit the red button and would miss some games or time. Oh, man.
This is not the first time. We dealt with this in 2020 where we missed games.
Yeah.
All over
This is why, like, right now, like, this part of the sports calendar, like, I'm taking it more for granted than ever because we could see, like, a year from now, it's completely the complete opposite, in which we're pretty much just, like, sitting here, looking at, lockout in baseball, certain situations with WNBA. It could be a complete what. So, this year, 2026, WBC, Olympics, MLB season, I'm just sitting here taking it all for granted because, that's why we love sports.
I think that's, and I kind of talked about it with Callan about where could MLB's popularity go with all of this before and after. And I said, you're going to see a lot of baseball watching right now because, like, yeah, I have my doubts about the Yankees, let's say, but
me too.
But I'm going to watch these games, and I'm going to watch even games that don't involve the Yanks. Why? Because I know next season there's not going to be – I mean it when I say it. I don't think one pitch gets thrown next season.
And that went to my point, though, on the breaking news show that Tom and I did. And I asked Tom and I asked Nick, point blank, how do we as baseball fans approach the season? Ben is obviously saying, I'm watching every game. Tom said he's going to watch every game. And I think, gentlemen, we all agree that there's a very, I'd say, not even silent majority, but silent majority, but I think a very vocal minority or vocal majority who is going to turn their back to baseball because they know what's coming down the pipeline next season.
I mean it when I say it. And I think judging by how MLB goes about its business this season, I'll mean it more. That same promise I made in 22 that Nick knows. One game gets moved for whatever reason. And,
you stopped watching. I remember.
You can't make it up. I'll watch college baseball. I'll watch independent. I'll watch the Atlantic League. I'll watch the KBO. I'll watch
college softball.
I'll watch softball. I'm not going to watch MLB.
I just don't think they care. Like the owners, we talked about this. This is a report out now that the owners have a war chest of money that they're putting aside. Now, why would you do that? Because that means you're expecting a lockout to happen.
And by the way,
to that point, sorry, but I'm saying to that point, then for us as fans, this is everything we've talked about before in years past, Nick, with issues. Don't go to the stadiums. Don't go to the games. Don't buy the MLB TV subscriptions.
Don't buy the
Make
jersey.
MLB suffer a little bit.
What MLB TV right now? Do you see what their deal is right now in terms of the ESPN? So it's almost like they're trying to bribe you already.
What, you're talking about the pack? I think it's 30 games, right?
I don't even. I have them
now. And now the alumni of MLB just lost their discount.
Did they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Nick and I are of the belief that we are estimating that war chest is about $2.25 billion to get through
which, by the way, wouldn't accomplish shit.
It wouldn't
$2.25 billion.
Exactly.
That wouldn't cover, 10% of the league? That wouldn't even cover. I mean, I don't know anymore. Here's the problem. I'm not going to watch this year because get ready because all you're going to hear on every telecast, every broadcast, you're going to hear the word lockout, lockout, lockout on every broadcast. All right, well, we're getting ready for a potential lockout. I don't want to hear the word lockout.
Do you think, Nick, because we were talking about Sunday Night Baseball getting removed, is it for this year?
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to NBC.
So, because ESPN is one of the biggest partners with baseball for many years. And isn't it just kind of ironic, the fact that they took them off of ESPN prior to potentially of what the inevitable of a lockout would be?
This happened before that. They had pulled away from their deal. They opted out originally because
they weren't happy with ESPN.
So they didn't know about potentially the lockout.
Actually, it wasn't even that. It's that ESPN was not happy with the amount of money they were paying. They weren't getting enough coverage.
Okay, so it seems like there were issues on both sides that they said,
correct.
Okay, we need to change
deals are also potentially something that could be into play come the CBA. So
I'm sure it did in some small aspect. Yeah, I think it did, but at the same time, I think ESPN was not happy with Major League Baseball either because they're paying all this money. They were getting Sunday night, and I think they were getting Wednesday night games, I think. But they weren't getting, huge games sometimes on those Sunday nights.
And to tie us into the WNBA real quick, though, because Morganson and I talked about this before, they signed this deal with USA TV or USA Network. With Versum, when there's no news of there being a season. I mean, the schedule's out. We're also forgetting, though, gentlemen, 2 new teams are going to be getting effed over here if this misses time because of the new teams in Portland and Toronto. And then there's more teams on the pipeline that are going to be screwed by this, too, in the next couple of years.
Let me just clarify in case people don't know. So the way the W works is when they're bringing 2 expansion teams in.
Expansion drafts.
They're supposed to this season. They have to do expansion drafts. Right, like hockey or any. I think any sport would do it, but they have to do an extra draft to get those players in.
And
but the lockout's causing a mess.
Well, right, they can't do anything, including those expansion drafts, until they sign a CBA. And now that the breaking news came out that they have to get a deal done by March 10th, which I'm going to look at Callan right now. I'm going to say that's not going to happen. It's February 24th now officially on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. So.
Nick, I predict in 2 weeks' time, you and Callan will be finishing this episode of ETB Lounge, and then you'll be going right into a WNBA losers game stream.
I could just imagine you guys sitting on the stream for like 6-7 hours, and eventually Nick is just going to press the lock button right at the end because it's like, all right, we just give up.
I mean, we've spent a shitload of time breaking down
2 to 3 different live streams that we've already done covering the lockout.
I mean, there's so much technical aspects of a lockout, whether it's the WNBA, whether it's Major League Baseball. They're all going to point fingers at one another. Oh, your fault, your fault, your fault. We don't know who to believe anymore. How about just figure it out, make a deal, and don't screw the fans over? I know that's a novel concept, but
This year is just going to suck in general. How about we just call it what it is, right?
I mean, I get it. Like, I told Callan, because Callan asked me, like, what was the sport I got into first? It was baseball. I was a Yankee fan first. Now, to be honest, like, I can't sit and watch a full baseball game anymore. Like, I think it takes too long for baseball games. I could sit and watch an NBA game. I could sit and watch a full NFL Sunday.
Well, it sucked, like, because when we had like the playback, just like stream thing, like we're able to like watch consistent baseball. Yeah. And now it's like we don't even have that. So.
Well, that's I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the issues that the lockout is also having a cause with. And David Sampson brought that up with us when he was on our show.
Yes.
That the streaming pot, the money, is causing a problem. Whether that's Netflix, whether that's Amazon,
Peacock.
What's that weird $10 million deal? Are they still doing Roku?
Which
is the dumbest
Amazon
deal.
Prime.
Right. I mean, and then Tom, I don't know. Okay.
Well, now the NFL supposedly is in talks with some of these streaming services about game packages.
So YouTube's it's actually being reported that YouTube is in the finalizing stages of getting a 5-game package for YouTube.
They're all doing it now.
Not YouTube TV, like actually YouTube.
Yeah, like they did with the Brazil game.
Correct. They're talking about an actual 5-game package for YouTube.
Oh my god!
What? They're talking about Netflix. They're talking more Netflix, not just the Christmas game. So you better have Netflix. You better have YouTube. Well, the YouTube games you could probably watch for free.
God, I can't wait for there to be a 4th game on Thanksgiving Day next season.
What? Yes, just you mean just so we can watch
about them cowboy
a million times.
We'll have the 1 o'clock window, a 4 o'clock window, an 8 o'clock window, and now an 11 o'clock window, because who cares?
Oh, no, I was talking about the game being played in London at like 9 a.m. your time on the East Coast.
Please don't.
Right.
How many international games are they already promising for this upcoming season?
16, I think they said.
16.
When the NFL schedule releasers make whatever they do on in May,
we're going to do a stream for it.
If they want to go down that route, basically have all the early games being the games that people don't give a crap about.
Well, obviously.
But you could be able
to... most of the time they are.
Oh, I mean, look at France. It's getting Browns versus Saints.
By the way,
wow.
I feel bad for the French people that they have to get stuck with that game. You know what? They can drink their wine and smoke their cigarettes. Maybe it'll make them lightheaded.
At least they're getting a team that has like French connections though with the Saints.
Yes, that is
true.
True.
I get it though, but is the game really going to be worth 2 shits?
Okay. I'll throw another solution at it. How about the NFL works out a deal with the Space Force so that way we can have the first NFL game played on Mars? I'm
in. I'm ready.
What? Back at like Wrigley Field or something. I'd be sick.
Can you imagine if we were able to play an NFL game in outer space? I don't think. What? Hey, that means like
a game on the International Space Station.
I'm in.
Live on the International Space Station.
Inception.
The problem is, wouldn't every player have butterfingers because the ball would never like stay still ever?
Football game on the White House lawn.
Hey, we're not.
The UFC's already doing that.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, actually.
Well, they
play a football game. Play the football game on the flight deck of a Navy aircraft carrier.
Caitlin Clark's college team played on like a ship or something.
Yeah,
They played. I think they played.
Did that.
They played tennis matches on a moving ship too.
College basketball has been played on aircraft carriers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Syracuse UNC on the USS Abraham Lincoln at 36th Street here in downtown San Diego.
Man.
Oh man!
Good
All right,
time.
guys, we'll get to our bench confessionals.
Here we go.
Yes, 4 takes taken from local San Diego bars and even a few from Disney California Adventure on Sunday. Mr. Albano, Connor Hellebuyck is the best goalie in American history. 40 stops against Canada is a Hall of Fame mic drop. He's the only reason why that Canada did not win by 3 on Sunday.
The best goalie in American history? No. The reason that the United States won? That's pretty arguable. I wouldn't say single-handedly, given that, goals still had to be scored against a very tough Canadian team. But, I mean, if you want to sing the praises like that, I mean, it's over-exaggeration. But for the sake of our country's pride and everything we've gone through for, the 46-year drought, I'll allow it. That's actually the best one that you have given me in the time that I have done bench confessionals. I'm usually flabbergasted and disgust every time.
Oh, wait. Don't
anything.
worry. Ben's one is going to be terrible. That we're all going to lose our minds. Nick Morgeson, Artie Moreno should be banned from his home ballpark. If winning is not a priority, then the fans paying for parking and $14 beers should not be a priority for him. He is a parasite on the game of baseball.
God, a parasite.
Ow.
If you're gonna call him a parasite, you may as well call every owner in professional sports a parasite.
How are these somehow not terrible so far?
That's a pretty bad take. I get it. Artie Moreno is a terrible man. We've seen a lot of bad owners. Go ask Zan in Chicago about which owner is it?
Rick's family?
What? No, they own the Bulls. Also,
Jerry Reinsdorf.
Who owns the White Sox? Yeah, what?
And the Bulls.
I used to call him Reinsdoof because he's that bad of an owner. He's still that bad of an owner. But he's in his 90s, isn't he?
Something like that.
Oh my God.
I mean, he had a good run with the Bulls. His White Sox, what was it?
They won a ring in 05
against the Astros, who were in the National League
Central.
at the time.
Yep.
But I don't know. I can think of some owners that are much worse than Artie Moreno across professional sports. I mean, let's see. Donald Sterling, Robert Sarver. I don't know. Who else can we throw on that list? Oh, the Cincinnati Reds owner from way back when.
Mars Schott.
There's so many bad owners that you could.
The fact that Mars Schott didn't give her team a celebration because they did a sweep, so she couldn't get the home revenue for for the Game 5 of the World Series.
Oh, I'd even throw Steve Ballmer in there too.
I was going to say aspiration.
I was going to say Artie Moreno's just an idiot. Like, he's not smart enough to do any shit like that. But I mean, should he have admitted that he didn't want to win? No. Is it illegal? No. So I would say those other guys are way worse.
But where's the bad? Because these aren't necessarily terrible.
Oh, wait, here it comes for Ben Cruz, though, Tom.
Oh, boy.
Ben, the Jack Hughes goal was way better than Mike Eruzione's in 80. Hughes did it against the best in the world in their prime. 80 was about the Cold War. 26 was about who actually plays better hockey. It's Team USA versus the world.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, both, of course, were great, but, Miracle on Ice is the iconic. It's the start of our country. It's, like we talked about earlier on the show, it's everything, it's from the start. You beat the Soviets with an amateur team compared to now, which you want to toe-to-toe, with the Canadians, but, yeah, I mean, you're Mike Eruzione, that's iconic. That's going to go down as one of the greatest memories out there in USA hockey. I mean,
see, told you, Tom. There's always at least one bad confession in here,
and yet somehow I feel like we've still had worse.
Well, confessions are all bad. It just depends if you're drunk or sober.
I mean, Jack Hughes for the decade, of course, but if you're talking all time, it's easy.
Again, nothing's topping 80.
By the way, I would add James Dolan to that list too.
Oh, for the owners.
Oh, I would say he's worse than Artie Moreno.
How about Woody Johnson?
Oh, that's a good one. What? You're right. I forgot the team I root for and the terrible owner. Yes.
Is this the Krusty Krab? No! This is Patrick! I'm not a Krusty Krab.
Patrick, that's the name of the restaurant.
Huh? Fish paste!
That's Nick Morgeson right now, not remembering the owner of his own football team right now in
Do you think I want to remember the owner of my own football team?
New York, playing in New Jersey, much like the Metro Stars did for God knows how
Buffalo
long.
is the
in
only
Major League
real
Soccer.
New York team.
The Buffalo Bills.
Yes. Exactly.
Dino, Lindsey Vonza's doctors should have stepped in. Risking an amputation for a 12th place finish is not inspiring, but a failure of the medical staff. We should not be celebrating the risk that she took, but should be questioning the ethics that went behind it.
That sounds like one I actually agree with. Yeah. No, I mean, as we discussed earlier, it was not worth the risk. Going in and competing with a torn ACL, I'm not a medical professional, but I know that if you're going to be competing literally at the highest world level with a torn ACL, things are probably not going to end well. So it really was not worth the risk at all.
Wow.
I forgot we had that one in there.
My leg!
We actually went 3 out of 4 on confessions for once. Like we didn't go like 0 for a change. We actually had 3 good ones for a change. It's a miracle, isn't it?
I mean, it is a bar. You have no idea what's going to be said there.
And honestly, between Jack Hughes and the other weeks where we've had our worst one, I think the Jack Hughes one is the least offensive.
I agree. You're right.
These were terrible this week.
A few terrible ones in the time.
There have been some really bad ones in the past.
We've had, yeah, exactly, Dino.
I will say the thing that's more iconic about this game compared to the Soviet game was, did Eruzione have a goal with a chipped tooth?
No.
And when Jack Hughes ended up getting his tooth chipped, hint,
On the high sticking penalty, yes.
Derek White, my guy Derek White in the NBA Finals, chipping his tooth against the Mavericks. And of course, that picture is becoming iconic because we won the whole championship.
That was a bloody mess, too, if I remember.
Yeah. I remember watching that with you, Nick. And
man. Ben, we'll
By
go
the
to
way,
you.
I needed to. You guys actually made me research something earlier because I'm an odds guy and I love reading about odds. We were mentioning what the odds were for the U.S. to win the gold medal in 1980, and I looked it up. There's not really like a consensus on this. However, they estimated that their odds entering the tournament were as high as 1,000 to 1 to win the gold medal.
I can see that.
But for the game against the Soviets themselves, they would have been somewhere between 6 and 12 to 1. So essentially like a plus 600 money line.
That being a thing.
It was a severe underdog.
Yeah.
Plus 600 is a pretty big underdog, but those kinds of upsets are the types you can see, on a regular basis.
I mean,
not
if it was
that
plus,
often.
if it was plus 6,000 or 60,000, then absolutely, I'm not. But 600 is not too
600 is like you could see that, like on a regular NFL Sunday, or
maybe in March Madness in a few weeks.
Right, March Madness, you could definitely see it.
But you get upset Central in March Madness.
Yes.
Because
that makes Mr. Mid-Major over here very happy when that happens.
But 1,000 to 1 entering the tournament, that's a pretty sizable underdog. So they definitely were not expected to win gold at all.
Not at all. Ben, we'll start with you on the aftertaste. This is about Canada now. Canada leaves Italy without a gold medal in either men's or women's hockey this year. Connor McDavid, once again, is the bridesmaid, not the bride. Tournament MVP, but again, does not win the gold medal. Ben, in your mind, though, with Canada not winning medals or the gold in either event for men's and women's hockey, is this basically a blip on the radar for Canada, or was the absence of Sidney Crosby the permanent aftertaste of their failure over in Italy on the men's side, but also overall, though, blip on the radar, or are the times changing?
I would love to see the time change. I think as us Americans, but I can't also discredit the fact that Canada is still has one of the best countries out there when it comes to this sport. And I think that's why it makes us winning this yesterday so memorable, because we've waited for this long, and to do it against them in a sport that they call. This is really not in terms of our sport, but I think it's starting to kind of turn over time. Give a lot of credit to the GM and Bill Guerin, and now we kind of had a foundation now, and a lot of young kids being able to play this type of game, and now Connor really is trying to take it up to the level. Sidney Crosby, obviously he's one of the greatest hockey players ever, but he's getting up there in age. Canada, of course, they obviously still have a lot of great talent ahead. Gavin McKenna. I was actually looking at the 2030 players. What? Well, in terms of some projections, and Tom and Callan, one and two are the guys in USA that I definitely could take a look at watching if it happened, was Cole Caulfield and Jason Robertson. I think those are two guys that they definitely left out. But for Canada's sake, watch out for Gavin McKenna, who could be, I want to say, the next back on Celebrity. But
oh god,
yeah, but
better than him though when he comes into the league though.
Yeah, but Canada is going to be set for a long period of time. And Connor McDavid, well, we will see that guy again in 4 years from now when he is 30. I think he'll be 33, 30, around low 30s. But they're not going anywhere, unfortunately.
Tom, I think the big thing that we've missed, and I'm glad that it comes around now here with the aftertaste, is obviously Canada goes home with silver. The women's hockey team now has lost 8 straight games to Team USA, dating back to the rivalry series, where Team USA, again, they beat them one time 10-4 in one of these games. So they won that 7-game tune-up for the tournament. Then, of course, they beat them 5-0. Yes, Marie-Philippe Poulin did not play in that game 5-0. And obviously, everyone who's a hockey fan knows that she's clutch. Captain Clutch is her nickname. She's not on the score sheet at all, scoring or assisting on that one goal that they get on the penalty kill shorthanded with Kristen O'Neill scoring that goal to break Frankel shutout streak. The one thing, though, Tom, it's really been talked about today has been the commentary of both Nathan McKinnon and John Cooper, the head coach, who both in a way called this game a fluke for Team USA winning because of the overtime ruling being 3-on-3 for a full 20 minutes. Nathan McKinnon, who, by the way, he might be going down kind of in bad lore for missing a power play shot with a gaping net, and that he just happened to miss and he went wide. And then he says, well, look at the numbers and look at the rosters, who was the better team. The scoreboard at the end of the day reads USA 2, Canada 1, final/OT with a gold medal going in favor of Team USA. So, Tom, blip on the radar for Canada, changing in the guard, though, but also John Cooper and Nathan McKinnon stooped to that level for being sore losers, though, on Sunday night?
Let's see. What could I do for this one? Here we go.
And all the failure.
Yeah, I was going to say this one, too.
You lying? Why you always lying? Oh, my God. Stop fucking lying.
I would say that they are coping at the Copacabana at this point.
A lot of Molson, a lot of Labatt Blues, baby.
Exactly. Look, I understand the point to, it would have been better like the NHL playoffs where instead it's, the 5-on-5, like the game just continues on. But honestly, what we see in the Olympics with their overtime is not any different than what we see in the NHL during the regular season with the 3-on-3 overtime
they just
hockey.
Happened to play a 10-minute one in overtime of a opening round game, and they go to a 5-man or 5-person shootout.
Like, can we just do the goalie shootout like they do during the regular season? I don't know why. Come on, I don't want to see 3-on-3.
But like you said, and like I said earlier, and Ben mentioned earlier, at the end of the day, United States won both gold medal games 2-1. Right now, the USA is the dominating force. And, if you're going to come at the king, you better not miss. And Canada missed both times. So
That's two for the price of one.
So, look, Canada's going to be back. I have a feeling that in 2030, there's a chance at least one, if not both, of the finals are going to be USA versus Canada again.
Tom, if they don't do it in 4 years, guess what happens the next 4 years? They'll be playing on our soil. So for a fact we're going to do it again on our soil.
That's true. So I'm not ready to admit, complete change of the guards, only because, Canada still won 2 silvers, like you mentioned. There's still a force to be reckoned with when it comes to international hockey. And we'll see how things go if and when we do the 4 nations again in the NHL. Having said that, the pressure is definitely going to be on Canada come next Olympics to right the ship.
Nick, as much as, it's a men's hockey thing, I wonder, though, about the women's side of this, though. Again, I was more, in a way, like I said, and I'll be honest, I was probably watching more of the women's tournament due to Hillary Knight's retirement, as we mentioned back in May, I think, when the news came out on social that she was going to retire from the national team after 20 years of service as the team captain. Again, she also broke a record in that game on Thursday where her game-tying goal gave her the lead for points and goals by any American-born player in the Olympic Games, 15 goals, 33 points, where I was more watching that story unfold, obviously, because I in a way, even, told people, if it's not USA-Canada for the men's final, then both those nations should be ashamed of themselves for not getting to the final game on the men's side, where I was watching more of the women's side of the whole tournament. And again, how this USA team, though, Nick, with so many new faces, like a Layla Edwards, first black woman to win a gold medal or a medal for Team USA, Caroline Harvey winning MVP, Taylor Heisey, Britta Curl, for example, other kids who have been getting onto the, making their name for themselves with the old guard of Hillary Knight, Megan Keller, and all, Lee Stecklein, all those old faces. But I wonder, though, Nick, mainly for the women's side, though, because I remember, I think, saying, though, too, off the bench or from the Olympics from the bench, I didn't want the excuse to be made if the women won the gold over Canada, if Marie-Philippe Poulin did not play in that game, that, well, we weren't at full strength. And I kind of feel like they'll let the men now are using that as a crutch in a way, because, well, it's the overtime rule. Well, look at the actual box score. Don't read the scoreboard. Well, Crosby didn't play. I don't want those excuses. You got to the final and you had a chance to either win the gold or lose the gold. You lost the gold. And I also even remember saying, though, too, about the women's side, I was more worried for their sake. Are they too old in the tooth, though, with like Poulin, Sarah Nurse, and a lot of the old, their veterans, like, Laura Stacey being there? Have they not injected more youthful legs or more younger age players into their program? I don't know. Is that why Team USA won the game? Maybe with their, again, I don't know. But I didn't want the excuses to be made, though, about, well, Team USA only won because of these factors. But, Nick, your thoughts about where Canada's at today, one day removed from the men losing the gold medal to Team USA on Sunday afternoon from Milan, Italy?
I mean, they're going to be upset because they lost the gold medal. Obviously, that's how every team's going to react. When you finish in second place, you're obviously going to be salty about it, especially in the Olympics when you're playing for your country, and that's all you care about when you're qualifying and practicing all that time to make the Olympics. But at the same time, I think that you want a silver. Let's not act like you didn't win anything here at all. Like, winning a medal, period, is an accomplishment at the Olympics. And I think that's what people are forgetting. Like, these athletes, like, they train for 3-4 years around the clock, and they have to work jobs on the side just to survive. But I don't know. I think sometimes we use excuses, and not just in the Olympics, but in anything. Oh, well, my team didn't win because my player had a massive injury. Okay. I mean, have you ever heard of circumstances that happen in a game?
I was going to say team sport, not me, not me, myself, and I. It's we, us, and ourselves.
Right. There's no me and team. I mean, like, that's the whole thing. I know that's a dumb cliche. Or there's no I in team. Sorry. There's no I in team.
But there is a me.
There is a me in team, but there is no I in team.
There is a you and suck.
Exactly. But my point is, if you make excuses, you look suck. You look like a suck up, or like you just like it looks bad. You're making excuses why you lost. Just admit you lost. You didn't play as well as the other team. They beat you fair and square. USA won. Well, I should say fair and square. Both games were competitive until the end. But who cares if it's in overtime or if it's in regulation? Overtime games are better. I feel like
more exhilarating.
It also proves that both teams played their heart out to win the game. So anyone that's complaining about overtime or extra innings or whatever, like, I don't know. It just sounds dumb.
Nick wants to abolish extra innings in baseball for the swing off. As you saw at the All-Star game.
I do. I want
Atlanta.
the swing off. I want a home run derby instead of extra innings.
We got that during the All-Star game last year.
I want it permanent. I want it in every single game going forward. I think it's more fun. If you don't win it in 9 innings, you play. Each team gets 3 outs, and whoever gets
fun, but it's very gimmicky. Like
it's very gimmicky, Dina. But you know what? It's better than the Manfred man.
Do you want to watch a 17-inning game? I don't. Like,
well, we sat through one on playback, for God's sake. What are you talking about?
That's the World Series.
You could at least like try at least for a good portion of the season, and if players like it, then keep going. If they don't, then they could just kind of go back to what they had.
So the excuse they're going to make is that it's going to destroy their swing because they're going to treat it like a home run derby and not.
Oh my God! Who the hell cares?
Thank you, Peter Griffin. But I think it's great. I think it's fun for the fans too. Hey, we needed more than 9 innings. Each side gets 3 outs. You tie, you move on to the next half inning, so to speak. And then whoever wins.
Well, I also think too, Nick, you do make a point in which a lot of people leave like the game after 9 innings if it's tied. And so if there was a swing off, it's kind of like for hockey fans for a shootout, it's like, oh wait, like, all right, this is kind of interesting.
The game is going to end in a structural time.
I would say that at that point, before I get to Dino here real quick to finish off this one, before we get to our last segment of the night here, or last 2, I should say. If we're going to do that, then we have to play it like hockey overtime. Then there's 1 extra inning, and then you go to the swing off.
Yeah.
But why? You don't need an extra inning, though. If you're going to do a swing off, just do a swing off.
Well, a lot of times the game, the way they have the rules.
What?
I was just going to say, the way they have the rules now, a lot of times it doesn't in the 10th. It's pretty rare it even goes to like the 11th or 12th.
I hate the ghost runner.
The Manfred man.
The ghost runner is stupid.
Stupid.
Well, did any of the games in the World Series? I forgot. Oh wait.
No, they don't. In the playoffs,
they play regular.
They don't
innings,
do the ghost runner.
Regular inning for the playoffs.
My point is, I hate the ghost runner rule because it feels like they don't count it towards the pitcher stat because it's not an earned run. I want to see my wins earned.
Exactly.
And honestly,
you would feel more earned if it's a swing off then?
More than just putting a runner on second base.
At least with a swing off, you get to choose your guys. All right. Now, I think one rule you have to keep in play, though, if you get to a swing off, if you take a player out for whatever reason, you pinch hit or you pinch run,
they can't go back.
They can't come back.
Now, what we need to do, if we're going to abolish extra innings, and we will get to our last segments here, you got to start. You have to stay in order. Whatever part of the order is coming up, they got to go.
I'm okay with that.
It's not like the NHL where you can pick. It's not like in hockey where you can pick your best guys who score a lot to do the shootout.
But that's not what they did in the All-Star game, though.
I know, but that's what I'm proposing is that's what it would have to be. If you want to, again, get rid of the extra inning rule from a swing off, well, if that's the case, then you have to go from wherever you're at in your batting order. So if it's your 9-hitter up and they started it off, simple as that.
But that defeats the purpose of the swing off, though.
Nah, I think you would get to choose your guys, but
yeah.
I just for me personally, I feel like that's not really baseball. That's just a home run hitting contest,
Well, I'm saying after you play 9 innings, like you don't want to sit through another 9-inning game. Like, do you really want to sit through the marathon?
But you don't anymore because of the ghost runner. You don't that kind of eliminate. I mean, you every once in a while you'll get an 11 or 12 inning,
but then Dino, I mean, I'll counterpoint that. Look what happened in the postseason in terms of
they don't play the rule.
When you took away the extra inning rule, I mean, we almost had a game that went to like 3:00 in the morning, at least for East Coast.
We sat through it.
The Mariners won the
winner of that game earns that victory.
I know, right. True.
But let me ask you a question: is the ghost runner considered real baseball?
Well, no, but I can understand why they did it because it's a 162 game season, and you don't want games going 18 innings.
It's only applicable if you're playing in a travel baseball tournament in Southern California in 2006, as I did so many times. That's how they would end extra innings for travel baseball.
Trust me, I don't like it either. The Ghost Runner, I'm not a fan of the Ghost Runner either, but I can understand why it ended up sticking around because it's a long season. And it's grueling to play all those games.
Adopting the G League overtime rule, the first team to score 7 points wins the game with no running clock. Shot clock.
I honestly think for the Ghost Runner, they should at least have a limit in terms of like if it goes past like 12 innings, then you could do like something different. Like because then it'll kind of prolong of like.
I've long been on that train.
The home team has 3 chances with a guy at second base, and you can't cash in. It's like, all right, well, you got to kind of change it up.
Well, there's been a few games that have gone to 12, but I don't think I've seen any more than 12.
I was going to give you another theory that when you start extra innings, so the 10th inning, it's a man on first base. Each team starts with a man on first base. If it doesn't end in the 10th, the 11th inning goes to second base. The 12th inning goes to third base, and then after the 12th, it then has to stay at third base because you need the game to end.
I think the only problem, though, with the man on first theory is that if you turn a double play, you don't get to the 3 batter minimum for the actual inning to end. You'd have to still face 3 batters.
Well, why does that matter? You would just pitch to another batter.
Well, if they turn a double play with the guy in first base, there's 2 outs, and they've only faced 1 hitter.
Yeah.
Or 2 hitters.
Yeah.
No, but the 3 batter rule only applies.
The man on second base.
Or strike out, throw him out.
I mean, I guess, but I first of all, this whole thing is dumb. Like between messing with the pitch clocks and extra inning rules, and now they're allowing pitchers and catchers to hit their head for challenge for the ABS system.
Yeah, I saw it today. It literally takes 2 seconds.
No, but it's going to slow the game down. You can't tell me it's
not going to slow the baseball game down that badly.
Every time they get
not
to do
as much
this.
as replays in basketball do.
Those slow the game down, and they only can do it twice per game.
I don't know, the pitch clock people really weren't on board with, and now it's like it's natural.
I'm fine with the pitch clock. I'm fine with that. I still think the games are too long.
College baseball also has a mercy rule now, so the game ends after 7 innings if it's beyond a 10-run deficit.
Well, I wish they would have a mercy rule in Major League Baseball.
They should, actually, because
there's a lot
if it's 10-0 and it's the 5th inning, they should be allowed to say the game is over. Like
maybe not the 5th, but the 7th.
Yeah, but have to be after 7.
The 5th is too early. That's
you're right.
Come back.
7 is very fair.
Well, if it's like 20-0 in the 5th inning, like
I mean, the Padres did that to the Rockies last year in Colorado.
Because let's face it, when it's 10-0 in the 9th inning, everybody starts putting in position players, and then it becomes
you can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. There's a certain rule that I don't know. Tom might remember this too. I don't remember.
I mean, if it's a 20-run game, then at that point it doesn't matter. I think that
the deficit has to be more than 7 runs by the late innings of the game for that to happen.
Yeah, they had to stop doing it.
You wouldn't do it if it's that much anyway. I mean,
but I think they were doing that because some teams were just doing it purposely, knowing they didn't want to burn their bullpen.
They didn't want to burn the bullpen, right? Yeah.
So now I think what do you say? It had to be a 7-run deficit.
7 runs, I think. Innings 7 through 9, I think that they could do it.
7 runs is doable. Like there's teams that have 10-run innings sometimes, So
it says position players may only pitch if their team is winning by 10+ runs in the 9th inning.
Okay.
Or trailing by 8+ runs at any time.
8. Okay, I was close.
So I don't know. I used to find it fun watching the position players pitch, though. When they throw the Uncle Charlie knuckleball. Always.
Better they're just lobbing it up
I
there.
mean, I've been a couple games the Red Sox have gotten smacked, and I leave, and by the time I leave, it's position guys pitching. I'm like, all right, I've seen enough.
Now, do you sit through that game when there's a blowout like that?
No, usually not.
I'm staying to the end.
The only time, well, no, Callan, it's funny you say that because one of my college trips, because I obviously went to school outside of Boston, our school trip, we saw a game that we're playing the Rays, and we were losing, I think it was 7-0, 7-1 in the fifth inning. And by the time we got back to campus, about 2 hours later, the Red Sox came back and they won the game 8-7. And
it's not an insurmountable lead, 7-1. You know.
Right, but the way that the game was going, like the Red Sox couldn't hit to save their life the whole entire game, and then of course, like the last 3 innings, I think after the Rays took their starter out, basically all my people on my train next to me were watching the game next to me, and they kept on scoring and scoring and scoring. I'm like, of course it was our luck.
Of course, it's only natural that you leave the game and all this crap happens.
Yeah. So now we like joke around, say we should just can't go on these.
That's why you never leave early, my friend. All right, guys.
You don't leave early.
Yeah, that's right. All right, guys. We'll move on here and we'll pour one out tonight, guys. Our pour one out subjects for our therapy session are Sidney Crosby's Olympic career because of injury, John Cooper and Nathan McKinnon because of their post-game commentary, and the hopes and dreams of the LA Angels ever going back to the postseason. Nick, who are you pouring one out for on this Monday night?
Oh, this is a tough one. I'll stick with it. All right, I'll pour one out for Artie Moreno.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? At the same time, I know he's a bad owner. I know everyone's going to give him a hard time. He let Shohei Ohtani go for zilch when he could have redone his whole team with a major trade. But you can't come out and admit that you're basically don't give two shits about winning. Like that's like one of those cardinal sins in professional sports where you're just like, hey, I don't feel like winning. I mean, that could affect ticket sales too. You know, if your owner doesn't care or wants to spend.
But Nick, what about the safety and the fan experience?
What? Yeah, if there's no team to watch, who cares if it's safe or not?
Who the hell cares?
Exactly. Thank you.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Well, or if the Angels
I got that pretty much on topic there.
Or if you want to say basically the Angels are.
If we're keeping a buck right now, we ass.
I mean, that's what they are. Like the Dodgers. See, I think of the Dodgers Angels as like the Yankees and the Mets in this regard, where the Yankees will always be the bigger market team, always in New York. The Yankees will be
the bigger brother.
Bigger brother. You know what? Well, they are technically.
Mm.
Like the Dodgers are the big distant brother over the Angels.
If you want to put it that way, that's the Dodgers with the Padres.
Or the Dodgers with the Padres. But like the Dodgers are going to smack the shit out of the Angels like for life.
Well, think about it more instead of the brother, the grandpa. The Dodgers are the grandpa. The Angels are the son.
But Artie Moreno.
I think that's just perfect timing considering the episode title of today's lounge is "Who's Your Daddy?"
Yes, but Artie Moreno is a terrible owner. We all know that, but he's never going to change. He's too busy because he wants to make sure the tickets are family friendly and the beer and the food are cheaply priced.
All right, Ben Cruz, who do you pour one out for tonight? Sidney Crosby's Olympic career, John Cooper, Nathan McKinnon being salty in the postgame media availability, or the Angels and their owner, Artie Moreno? Who is it?
For me, it's John Cooper, Nathan McKinnon. I mean, John Cooper, for somebody that I've looked at as one of the better coaches out there, he had a record throughout the season for the Lightning. You know, he comes out as a coach to me that's been pretty solid. But come on, man. I mean, the 3-on-3, dude, you wouldn't have said it if you won the game. I guarantee you wouldn't have had these comments. Like, 3-on-3, you've seen this as a coach the whole entire season, and now, of course, you have to see this now. And then, of course, you have Nathan McKinnon saying after the game, asking the media, well, you could see what happened, who the better team was out there. Brother, you missed a wide-open net at the most critical point in time. You're the last person to say that out of anybody on the team, as somebody that's been looked at as one of the biggest superstars out there in the NHL. and you couldn't even hit an open net for a chance to win gold. I mean, what are we doing here? You talk about the biggest copers out of the whole entire Canadian. It's those two jamokes right there, and you guys deserve it. I'm sorry.
Dino Taibbi, pour one out for Sidney Crosby, John Cooper, and Nathan McKinnon, or the Angels' postseason hopes in 2026.
Yeah, I'll go back to the Angels. Their fans have really suffered through a lot because they had two generational players on their team at the same time in Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and they couldn't even make the playoffs. And now basically you have their owner coming out and saying, well, we're not going to prioritize winning. So their fans are really in for it after that. And anybody who actually did care about the team winning rather than just affordability is just not going to be happy hearing that. So I'll pour one out for the Angels.
And the last word from the panel tonight goes to Tom Albano. Tom, who is it that you're pouring one out for the night on this Monday evening, now Tuesday over on the East Coast?
First of all, I think it's going to be clear. I think the answer is clearly obvious because, I mean, Sidney Crosby, legendary career, but obviously Ranger bias, but still, he wasn't involved in this Olympics. McKinnon and company who are complaining, I've referenced it before, but
Yes.
So my answer is going to be, I'm going to pour one out for the Los Angeles Angels, their fan base, and poor Mike Trout. Because at this point, and actually, you know what? I'm going to extend it and to the fans of Major League Baseball. Because at this point, to reference something that Callan said earlier, the quiet part has now been spoken out loud. A major market owner is now basically admitting that he does not care about winning, which it's very arguable to say that's now an owner and a half who have said that, given what Hal Steinbrenner has implied earlier about the Yankees. And I feel bad for Angels fans because now basically I get that Artie's front office has done things in the past, signed players, but it all hasn't worked out. And it seems like I get Artie's intentions. I get his heart. But to say that you don't care about winning is something that matters to fans. Winning is something that matters to, us who are watching the Olympics. Think about this. If you're a little kid, are you going and you go to your first major league game and you're watching your favorite team and they lose? Is that little kid going to say, "Oh, no worries. The fan experience was great. The price of tickets and the concessions were low." Or are they going to be upset because their favorite team lost?
You suck.
Right. Mike Trout, look, at this point, I just hope he gets to 500 home runs. Because that's the only accomplishment that's going to get him to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, because he ain't getting back to the playoffs at any point unless by miracle he gets traded away. And for the fans of Major League Baseball, I'm sorry. This is just further confirmation. We're not getting a 2027 season, so my hearts go out to you.
Make it make sense to me.
Well, I can, Michael K. Pour a double out for Angel fans tonight. Crosby has 3 gold medals. He's fine. Angel fans have sadly now realized, gentlemen, they're in a 20-year happy hour that never actually serves anyone any booze. How about that tonight in this rate? Gentlemen, before we lock up for the night, want to take one last look at the ice in Milan-Cortina, Italy tonight, and yesterday feels different. For 46 years, American men's hockey was defined by a miracle, living through the grainy footage in Herb Brooks' speeches. But as of today, we have a new memory. We all got to see Jack Hughes and Connor Hellebuyck silence a nation that thinks they own that owns the patent on frozen water. And we also watched the Olympic hero and Hillary Knight finish off her Olympic story exactly how it began. with a medal around her neck and the puck on her stick. If this was truly her final skate on the world stage, we say thank you for HK21 for simply not playing the game, but changing the ceiling for every girl whoever picks up a stick in our hometowns in the future. But then we also, guys, have the reality of the business back here at home. We spent tonight also talking about Artie Moreno and his theory that fans don't care about winning. He thinks we want safety and affordability. Artie, we have more fun, or at least I have more fun waiting for an Uber in a sketchy neighborhood after I go to a Padre game or a soccer match in San Diego than I do watching your ball club over the past couple of years. We don't go to the stadium. We don't go to the stadium for the safety of the parking lot. We go there for the danger of the bottom half of the ninth inning when you're down by a run, and go to see people try to be legendary figures in the community. That's also, though, why, guys, the WNBA news matters. The $8 million revenue share didn't happen because people wanted a safer afternoon. It happened because the product is electric and the fans have demanded it, even if the lockout comes on March the 10th. Big thank you again to Nick Morgeson, Tom Albano, Ben Cruz, and Dino Taibbi for helping me break down a weekend that feels like a 48-hour fireworks show. We are back next Monday to see if Artie Moreno has figured out what a top 5 priority actually looks like, and if my Spotify account has been permanently banned from playing Free Bird into a literal server meltdown come next Monday. Until next time and next week, gentlemen, the lounge is officially closed until next Monday. The check is on the house as always. Please get home safe. We are back, though, on Saturday, more than likely Sunday, with our weekend crew back with you here once again on ETB Lounge.
Let's hope that Nick DiMartino's stomach has healed by that point.
Let's hope so. That was brutal last night. But for Nick Morgeson, Ben Cruz, Dino Taibbi, and Tom Albano, Callan McClurg saying good night here from Southern California. Until next Monday, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.